Welcome to the GRG podcast, the place for all your gaming news, plus hot topics of the week. Also remember to follow us on Twitter at KMega4.
If those games work well on phones,
and phones and tablet. I like how he says that, and then he
SpaghettiOs.
Keep rolling, but then
yeah,
yet, you know what? Every time that there's an update,
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Every time that there's an update, there's always like some stuff that I got to change, and I keep forgetting it. But that's okay. We good.
You sure we live? Because I still see it. 4 minutes left. I don't. And YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yep, got to check it out. Yeah, there was something that it flipped on me. It changed up on me, but it's all good. I got it.
He
See,
live.
he says we're live, but we really ain't.
he
live.
We live. I hear me. I see us. We're here.
Yes, sir.
Just everybody else. We just got to get everybody else to be coming in here because they had to jump it. So we here, ladies and gentlemen. It's always something when K-Mega has to mess with these buttons, but that's okay. The show is live. What's happening, everybody? The GRG podcast is in full effect this Friday night. And, man, not only do we have a full panel tonight, well, we're still missing one, but, you know, our boy will probably come in here a little bit later. But we also have somebody who graced their opinion. Man, listen, man, this is a great day. We are not only there's the kingdom, as my boy would say, the GRG kingdom, but we just down the street over there around the corner. There's a big ass castle over there. There's a couple of big castles, but there's this one real big ass castle. And so one of those from the realm one of the lords has come and paid us a visit out here, man, at the GRG Realm. So what's happening? Lord Sovereign, thank you so much for coming, man. I know we talked about it for a little while, but man, I'm glad to get you on, man. It will not be complete. GRG will not be complete until I can get every last one of you guys on here. So I got one more to go. I got to get that schedule right with King David, but man, right here, this is an honor. I know you've been working hard. You do your thing, and y'all always are getting hit up for people to come on and have you go on the show. So it is an honor. Thank you so much. Lord Sovereign, what's happening, man?
What's going on, my brother, man? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate the invite. My apologies to I don't know if I've turned you down a million times up until this point, because it usually is, that's how it works with me. Like, I'm just like, oh man, I can't, man. When I'm on vacation, we'll do it. Don't worry. When I'm on vacation. So this is actually my first day of my vacation.
Nice.
And it was supposed to be a staycation, right? A nice restful staycation, play video games, do nothing, get on a couple of podcasts, and stuff like that. And then my wife was like, "Oh, wait, like, why don't I cancel my travel plans and we just travel together?" And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So much for the staycation. So,
yes, no staycation.
So this is actually, of the podcast that I had planned to be on, this is the only one I'm going to be able to make it to.
Oh, man.
I am so glad, my brother, to finally be able to be on here with you guys. Obviously, we got to chill in person a couple of years back. It seems like forever now.
Right.
But love what you guys are doing here, man. And thank you for all the support you give us as well. I'm just happy to be here and be able to chill and talk, man. Talking games, man. This is what we do. Talk games.
No doubt. That's exactly what we do. And yeah, I cannot wait. Once I heard the mayor of Los Angeles come out and just say at the beginning of E3 that, look, E3 is back and is going to be in full effect, I got so excited because, hey, man, I'm already getting prepared. So it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see you guys. It's a lot of people out here just don't understand, man. It is a different type of level of hype out there when you are amongst gamers. You're not listening to the Twitter, to the Facebooks, to any of the social media. You just there to experience what gaming is. And, so it's a wonderful experience. So yeah, man, thank you. It is a great pleasure to have you here. No doubt about it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. No doubt. So let's get to it. Let's get to the rest of the panel. Bloody Knuckles. Hey, what's happening with you, brother? What's going on?
You know what it is? It's always good to be back. I was like, I'm always been busy, been trying to do things, got some stuff working on the back end, but unfortunately the past 2 weeks have been kind of hard. A lot of personal things been going on. Had to leave for a bit to take care of some family things that came up. But you know what? It's always good to be back with the people.
One of your Satan rings broke, right? I know that's a bad situation.
No. I was like, it was a loss, but it wasn't that kind of loss.
Okay.
Right. I was like, because those I can just conjure up. Just gotta say a little prayer, sacrifice a goat or two. It all comes back.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, it is what it is. And it's like, hey, that kind, I'm good. I was like, my master takes care of everything. Other stuff, not so much. But you know what? It's good to be back. It's good to see the family. More than anything, it's always good to see our family and friends over there from the Lords. I was like, Sav, it's so good to see you. I was like, I know, like you mentioned, when we were chilling out 2 years ago back at the last E3, we had a lot of fun there. So next year, when 2022 comes around, we're going to be partying it up the way that we should. So it's always good to have you. But other than that, you know what? I've just been gaming, working on my backlog, and also trying to fill out some achievements that I'm working on. I was like, I've been putting in a lot of time going back to Yakuza. I was like, I'm almost done with Like a Dragon, so that way I can start focusing on the rest of the stuff. You know what it is. I'm always doing something.
No doubt. All right. Our main man, Still Rain. What's happening, man? The hype, one of the two members of Living Split Screen. So yeah. What's happening, brother? What's going on, man?
It is I am him, the one and only Still Rain, back in the GRG kingdom where the rain has just come to feel a gentle sea. You know what I mean? I'm just here to be the gentle spirit. You know what I mean? But in that same aspect, we're here to talk where the games recognize games, and that's just what it is. Look, it's been an outstanding week. Hopefully the guys have walked with everybody, and everybody's week has been a blessing. Other than that, we here Friday going into this weekend. It's been a slight, a downpour of some news or whatnot, but we still got some other things to talk about. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. No doubt about it. All right. Keep on moving down the line. Hey, my man, PK, what's happening with you, brother? What's going on? Gotta always give him a minute.
No, he's straight up muted.
Oh, is he muted? Okay.
He went to sleep. He boxed out.
Oh, he's not going to come and really talk about nothing until we start talking about Windows 11. So okay,
he's gonna we can
just, well, yeah, he'll sleep. We'll see.
On his Metal Gear Solid tip.
Yeah, he's on his Metal Gear.
You already know.
All right, so let's move on. Six Slayer, what's happening with you, brother?
Wow, that's crazy. What's up, everybody? Just got paid. It's Friday night. Another. Oh,
told you.
You know what?
Yeah. Go ahead, Sick. I'll go after you.
All right. Yeah. So messed up my whole flow. Yo, Six Layer. Yo, we back. Another week has gone by. E3 is in the rearview mirror. You know, it's still reverberating today, but you know, new things are still happening every week, every day in gaming. You know, it goes so fast. So we got even more topics to discuss. Pretty big one, and let's get going.
All right, no doubt. All right, PK, what's up, man? How you been?
Had a long week, some exciting stuff, press some news and everything came out this week. But just ready to get into them and have a good discussion, you know.
All right. Okay, cool. That's pretty short and sweet. I got you. I'm ready to hear what you have to say about this Windows 11, man. I mean, because you say that's the hottest topic. You said that you told me that's the hottest topic in all of gaming right now. Okay. All right.
It is.
Because it is.
All right. Okay, man. All right. Anyway, Slayer, go ahead, brother. Oh, no, he already went. He already went. Because you said, because I just remembered you just said that you was going to. Okay, never mind. All right. Last but not least, D, what's happening with you, miss? You doing all right? Everything's been going good?
Yeah. Everything's been great. Started my new job this week, so I just kind of been coasting. But I can't complain, to be honest. So.
No doubt. All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, hopefully y'all guys get this energy picked up because y'all sounded pretty tired. You know, I mean, listen. Y'all sound real tired. Yeah, I know. I'm ready. Anyway, so all right, let's get to it, man. Let's start off. You know how we do it. We get a little smaller topic. We talk about it, but this one is kind of special, right? Because every time one of the Lords come on, I have to do this because they did that to me when I came on the show. So I have to do this. It is an obligation. On top of that, I did make a video giving my all-time top 10 console games. And so Xbox 448 went crazy on me and told me that my top 10 was absolutely ass. But we're going to just do 5. So, yeah. He said it was horrible because there was nobody out there. So I'm going to just give my 5 real quick, and then I'm going to just move on and go to our guest first. All right, so first off with mine, all right, and since this was difficult, this was difficult just doing 10. So like I was doing little, I was getting clips and getting gameplay and putting it all together, and I was like, I just need this 10. It turned out to be like 35, 36 games that I was playing.
I mean, that's always the case, man. When you say 5, I'm like, man, I'm in trouble.
Right.
And there's a lot of juggling going on right now.
Right. So, yeah. Watch, it'll change. But for right now, here was my 10 real quick. Well, no, I can't say my 10. I'll go my 5. I'll just do my 5. All right. So, and since I got to change this because this is on the fly, but I'm going to have to start off with the one that I started off right off the bat on that video, and it is Balloon Fight. Now, this is consoles. It's an arcade. Balloon Fight. Balloon Fight. Because, all right, I was a huge Joust fan. And when I used to go to Walmart with my mom and my grandmother when I was a kid, they had 3 displays of the NES. Everybody was over there with Super Mario Brothers, and there was Ice Climber, and then there was Balloon. There was the other game. So I was just kind of like, all right, this game reminds me of Joust. And so I said, I'm going to start playing it. And then I fell in love with it because it reminded me of Joust. So Balloon Fight is number 1. Number 2, and this is not in no order, so it doesn't matter. Rygar. I think people see me talk about Rygar. Rygar was just one of those games. It was really hard. It was difficult. I didn't get a chance. I went back and played it again so I could beat it when I was a preteen because I couldn't beat it back then when I was a kid. So, but yeah, Rygar got me deep into wanting to beat games and things like that. So, because if you was playing in the Atari era, you just kind of play games and then just to pass the time and went outside and played and all that other stuff. But when Nintendo came out, you really cared about wanting to complete those games. So Rygar was that game that I had to beat. It was really intense for me. So that's 2. 3, no question. Tekken, it had its life for me. You know what I'm saying? Incognito, shout out to my boy out there. Tekken, you Kazuya all day. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? I need that brother to come on to fight night sometimes. And then, God of War. David Jaffe changed my life with God of War. I love God of War. I was skeptical about the latest God of War, but Cory Barlog did a fantastic job with the game. Can't say anything bad about it. He just put his own spin to it. I wish it was still as raw as Kratos used to be, but he's older now. And I think just when everybody gets older, we get a little bit more chill. So I can appreciate that. So God of War, that franchise has been special to me. And then number 5, it has to be Halo. That's just what it is. It got me back into gaming when I was at that peak, at that point where I thought that gaming was about to, I was feeling like I was too old for it. I got a family, I got kids now, I got all these bills I got to pay, I got all these other responsibilities, and gaming shouldn't be a part of it. But Halo changed everything and got me back in it just as deep. So, with that,
we got ATL in the chat. They need justification for Balloon Fight, my brother.
Balloon Fight was not. I didn't play more. Listen, when I begged my mom and grandmother for a Nintendo, for NES, I went and that was the game that I got because the Mario game came with it, and I got the one with the Gyromite. But the first game that I seen was Balloon Fight, and I was killing that. I didn't play Mario until I don't know how much longer than Mario wasn't even on my list. It was Balloon Fight. I wanted that game. I wanted to play that game. I love that game. To this day, Balloon Fight is everything to me. It's one of my all-time classics, no doubt about it. So, all right, Solver, what's up, man? What you got?
All right, man. Damn, there's a lot of fluctuations here with me, but I think. Let me go kind of from the newest first. For me, Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2
yes,
is the epitome of just world building. That world is alive. It literally is alive. For you to just go and do what you want to do. You can follow the story and do that, and that's fantastic. Or you could just run around that world and do whatever you want. And the world is so reactive and alive that everything you do, in a way, even in the short term, has consequences, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, Rockstar are the masters. I don't think anybody who puts out an open world game, and even speaking to Zelda, right? Because Zelda is amazing in its own right. Breath of the Wild, but it's different. Rockstar are the ones that always shift the paradigm every time they come out. Nobody really touches them in between that. Nobody comes close. Even your Ubisoft with their open worlds, it is Rockstar in their games. And for me, Red Dead right now is that pinnacle until GTA 6 comes, Mm-hmm. So that's one. Okay. Now, I was just talking about Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild to me is one of the greatest games ever.
Wow.
The moment they told me that Link could climb anywhere, and he really does do that. And when you see the sense of discovery in that game is so amazing that when, you climb over a mountain and you get to the top, you have no idea what you're going to find, right? It could be nothing. It could just be a Korok seed. It could just be a puzzle or something like that. Or you could see the next thing that you're going to go to. I don't know how many instances in that game where I set my sights on something on the map. I'm like, I'm going to go do this. And it took me 4 hours to get there because I just kept getting detoured and doing other stuff. So that game to me is it is in a lot of ways, the realization of what I dreamed and imagined in my mind when I played the original Legend of Zelda on the NES. To me, that is the realization of that dream is Breath of the Wild. So for me, that's definitely in there. Another one that for me was sort of transformative was the original Metal Gear Solid for the PS1.
Yes.
That was PS1.
That was one of my games. That was in that list, man. Yes.
Yeah, yes. That would have been in a top 10 maybe for me.
Yeah. Wow. Honestly, I mean, I fell off going into 3. I fell off sort of completely. Once he did, the lolly lalu and all that stuff, I was like, I don't know if I could do. But that original Metal Gear Solid, I remember first seeing pictures of that game, and I think in Game Fan magazine or something like that. And I was like, nah, this can't be real.
You heard that Game Fan magazine? Yes,
oh yeah. I'm an old man. You know what I'm saying? I remember when magazines were the thing. You know what I mean? And that's how you got your news. I remember seeing that and just seeing like, I cannot believe this is a game. And to get it in the house, oftentimes games disappoint you. And when you really get them inside, you have expectations and the expectations are not met when you get them. That's a game that expectations were blown out the window when I got it in the house. It was better than I thought it was going to be. And for me, that game, along with like Tenchu Stealth Assassins, it really, really grew my love of the stealth genre. Like I love stealth games, and those 2 games in particular were really big for me in terms of and of course Thief. Like I'm an old school PC guy, so I played Thief as well. Those games are amazing. So that's 3 for me. Now, anybody who listens to the Iron Lords podcast knows that I'm a stand for the Sega Saturn. I am a Sega Saturn. Yeah, listen, man, I'll die on that hill all the time, man. And for me, one of the greatest RPGs ever that barely anybody ever played was Panzer Dragoon Saga. That game. There were so few copies of that game when it came out. I purchased 2 at launch, and I had one.
Smart man.
No, I'm a stupid man because years later I sold them. I'm a very stupid man.
Oh, man, you just didn't know, man. I tell you, boy.
Yeah. Shout out to 108 to tell you I'm old as hell, brother.
Oh yeah, we all vets up here, man. I don't think
all vets.
Yeah. I think Bloody is the youngest out of this group right here, man.
Yeah, he definitely is. Bloody's definitely the youngest. But Panzer Dragoon Saga is the combat in that game is so amazing. The story is so amazing. And remember, Panzer Dragoon, they don't really speak, so everything is sort of implied and stuff like that. And it is one of the most beautiful artistic RPGs with an amazing combat system that kind of, obviously Sega Saturn had its limitations in terms of 3D, but still such an amazing game. And I'm gonna eventually, when I start getting my stuff back together and getting some of my old stuff back, that is definitely one that I'm getting. I know it's gonna cost me $500, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So last but not least, and this is one of the ones that rotates all the time, and because of where I am and who I'm talking to, Tekken 3.
Let's talk about it. Let's go.
Tekken 3.
Let's go.
Listen, for the Lords, Tekken was life for a long time. Tekken was life. I mean, obviously, Street Fighter 2, the fighting game craze that started with Street Fighter 2, we all fell into that. But when it came to Tekken, the thing about Tekken that was so impressive to us, obviously, first, getting it on the PS1 and it being essentially arcade perfect, right? But just the fact that the control scheme of the game was deceptively simple because you had one limb that pertained to each button.
Yep.
And that was very simple to understand. But at the same time, super complex when you got deep into gameplay.
Yep.
Excuse me, guys. I got to drink water for a second.
Oh, no, you're fine.
He's been preaching. That's what it is.
Yeah, that man preaching, man. That man over here preaching the gospel.
But Tekken 3, man. Tekken 3 for us, like the cycle with new games for us always started super early, obviously, because we played in the arcade. And then we always imported the game. So we had Tekken 3 months and months before the US market had it. And what that game was able to do on that PlayStation 1 it was so close to the arcade in terms of gameplay. Obviously, the look. It looked fantastic. It didn't look like the arcade, but it looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And it played so perfectly on that machine. It was so transformative. It took the Tekken formula like to another level. The characters that they added, like it was just amazing for us. And that was crack for us. That wrestling, Halo, that was it. So
no doubt.
I'm gonna mute for a second, guys.
Well, no, you're fine, because that right there was one of the things that swayed me over from the Saturn to PlayStation, was because of Tekken and NFL Game Day. Because at that time, we didn't see football graphics like that. I mean, that was in my homeboy Freddie B, rest in peace, man. He got me into so many different genre of games or different consoles, because once you get, like, I'm such a loyalist pretty much in certain ways, is that, like, look, you know, I'm all about Sega. I'm gonna go ahead and pay that extra $100 for it. Man, he's like, man, there's this fighter. I know how much you like Eternal Champions and all that stuff.
Oh, but, man, God, Eternal
Champions. Bro, man, Eternal Champions was everything to me.
Was it Larson? I love
Larson.
Yeah,
Midnight was my dude. I also liked oh man, it's so long ago, so many characters. Larson was the dude with the hat. He was the gumshoe guy. And then Midnight was the vampire guy. Then there was Blade, the black dude with the he was Blade. He had blades coming out of his wrist. There was so many different characters. There was the Russian chick, all that. But man,
I love the environmental kills.
Right, because it was so wild. When it dropped on Sega CD, I was like, man, every fighter should be like this, because the one of the wild ones was when when you was on the pirate ship and you fell into the water, and then because my one homeboy played with Larson all the time. That was one of his favorite characters. And then Larson would peep his head out the water, and you see nothing but his hat. And then all of a sudden he get ate up. Man, that was so crazy, man. It was the stage kills, the meta kills. I loved everything about that game. But then he was like, man, I'm telling you, you'll love this game. It's called Tekken. And I was like, all right, cool, you know. And so I played it, and I was like, oh man, this is a no-brainer for me. So I totally got that. Totally get it.
It really, like, and for us in the beginning, right? Because Tekken and Battle Arena Toshinden were out kind of at the same time, I believe. Maybe Tekken came out a little bit afterwards. But you know, in the beginning, everybody was like,
a little bit afterwards. Virtual Fighter was out at the same time because that was a launch title I thought was Saturn.
Right.
Yeah,
it definitely was. It definitely was. And then Virtual Fighter, I mean, that was a known quantity already, but to see like Toshinden, right? We were all in love with Toshinden first. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then
that level in New York where you could see like on the background there's a screen that's showing your fight. Crazy.
That was awesome. For that time, like it was something you'd never seen before.
Yeah.
But then Tekken came and the gameplay just absolutely crushed Toshinden. Killed it.
60 frames.
Speaking of 60 frames, shout out to Tobal #1. That was
Squaresoft. Shout out to Squaresoft. I love DePaul, Tobal 1 and 2. Hey, the big body girl was my one. The wrestling chick. That was the one. That was the one right there. That was my main. But anyway. Excellent. Great top 5. All right, let's go to D.
Check the Game Pass Quest.
Oh, well, okay. All right.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your top 5?
Check the Game Pass Quest.
It's hard, and I'm going back and forth about like what my top 5 are. As far as console, because I didn't really get into gaming like heavily until I was like late teens, early 20s, because I could buy my own stuff. But the very first game off the bat I know is going to be San Andreas. Honestly, because I love Grand Theft. I like the older ones, all that good stuff. But playing Grand Theft after playing Vice City in 3, it was like they had fixed everything that I thought was weird in the 3 and Vice. And I've put so many hours, and to this day on PS4, I have so many hours in that game. It's like if any game that I'm, updating or have any issue, like I have no problem jumping back to 2004 graphics and just playing the hell out of it. So that's definitely one of them that's, not my top number one, but just it's definitely my top five. Another one, which when I really think about it, is surprising. You know, as much as I love Forza, I started racing with Need for Speed. Gran Turismo 4 is really special to me. The endurance races, I put a lot of time into it, and I wish I could play it today. It sucks that I can't play it. Like, there's no way I can play it without having the PS2 that I'm aware of. Um, Honestly, I'd have to go with either Fable 2 or 3. And it's a tie between those two because it was one of the first games. It wasn't like a Games with Gold title that Xbox gave away. It was back in, I want to say 2013, that they were just like, here's a free game. And I was just like, I don't know what this game is. This is not my speed, but it's free, so it's for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. And it's one of those things where I was very surprised and shocked, like how much I enjoyed it. And it was one of the first games I really stepped out of my comfort zone. So, you know, I dumped a lot of hours into it. Had a special place as far as, you know, gaming, also with Twitter, you know, sharing with other people my experiences in it. Shout out to that because I posted about how I gave my kids away from one of my husbands, but I didn't put a hashtag. So for a couple hours, people thought I was a horrible parent. And I was like, yeah, I got rid of my kid because I wanted to get married. They're like, it's not my business, but why would you do that? And I was like, the internet told me to. And they're like, what is wrong with you?
Oh,
so
man.
it was a good couple of hours. I'm like, oh, my bad, bro.
That's hilarious.
Hashtag Fable 3. He was like, oh, okay. It was just really shit, that's 3. Another one is gonna have to be Saints Row 2, and specifically 2.
You got a theme
Saints
here.
Row was actually, yeah.
You like being a thug on these streets.
Yeah.
I like it. It's fun. Although in Fable, I can't pick the bad one. Like, not to spoil anything, but I didn't have enough money to help people in Fable, and I was like losing sleep over it. Because promises were made, but there was money involved. Like, I can't do a bad playthrough, no matter how hard I try. But Saints Row 2, I like to refer to it as San Andreas on crack. And if you ever played both of those games, I don't think that's inaccurate. I feel like Saints Row 2 is literally San Andreas on crack. But it's, you know, people were just like, it's the GTA clone. I didn't think I was going to like it. I thought it was going to be, you know, great value Grand Theft. But I've put, again, so much time into it. I play with other people. It was one of the first games I was able to play co-op in, as far as like doing the entire story. So as far as open world, you know, having fun with your friends and not having to worry about, you know, multiplayer. I mean, there was multiplayer, but not in the same realm as like other games, like, you know, Grand Theft Online, that kind of thing. That was really fun for me. I still play it on my Xbox thanks to, you know, backwards compatibility. Shout out. So that makes 4. 5. Oh, just kidding. It's Red Dead 2.
Oh, nice.
Sure.
Let's go.
Nice. I'm not sure. And it is the second game that I can say without shame that I've taken off work for, because I knew that shit was going to be big. I remember when Red Dead came out in 2010, and I didn't buy it because I wasn't like big into games back then when it came out. Like, I didn't have the money to buy things new. I was like 20 something, and I remember within 48 hours, people were like, "This is game of the year," and I was just like, "What are y'all talking about?" And I played it, and I was hooked ever since. And like I was saying with Rockstar, like, they take their time. I'm a little jaded right now with this 10-year hiatus, but I know good and well when something comes out, it's going to be of quality and it's gonna work. Red Dead 2 is one of those games where it's not really an RPG, but I can talk about my experiences, and another person who's played it is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You know, where did you see that? Or, you know, somebody else will talk about a random experience or a random activity. I've never heard of it. There's just so much in the world. There's so much, like you were saying, life in it. There's so much detail in it. I know when it first came out, people were like, oh, it's too detailed. and I see where, it can be overwhelming with the details, but once I shouldn't say you, but once I personally got a hang of it, it's just it's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Like
I
you
remember
never know what
arguing. I remember arguing with Addict on the show about because he was like, "Oh, the game controls poorly. It doesn't feel good to shoot and run around. It feels like he's running through molasses." And I'm like, I can understand that's your opinion. Like you feel that you don't like it for you, right? But he was framing it as they got it wrong. They messed up. And I'm like, they took 10 years to make this game. They didn't mess up. That's what they wanted you to feel like. And this game more than the first one, right? It's less of a game and more of an experience. Like it is this thing where like everything that they've done in that game is purposeful. So when you feel like he runs around slow and he's really meticulous about when you go into a house or something and you could pick up everything and pretty much like that's on purpose. So I get it that this game, it feels like less of a game than the previous one and maybe even all other Rockstar games. But there's a purpose to that, right? And I completely agree with what you're saying.
It's very much an experience. It's also very seamless. And I know games these days are like, there's not really that much of a blur between like gameplay and like a cutscene. But one thing with it that just to kind of put it out there is just like you can just walking around your horse, somebody's getting punched out. I was in Van Horn, some woman was getting murdered at a trough, and it's just like all these small things that aren't missions that are just happening, and it's just like y'all really put so much detail and thought and care into this game, and it's just like I don't care who says what, but if y'all remember 2018, nobody was trying to release their shit in October, like late October.
Call of Duty get out the way.
Call of Duty bounced. At the beginning, they put Odyssey, I think October 5th. Like nobody wanted to touch it. And anytime you see a Western movie or, something like that, and you think, oh, I want to play a Western game, nobody's touching the Western genre because Rockstar already did it.
Yeah.
Like, what game is really
on that same level? No, you're absolutely right. No, okay. All right. Great top five.
So, real quick, Jen, you said that you can't play San Andreas anywhere? Because I think it's...
No, I
Okay.
No, I have San Andreas. I have San Andreas on the PS2 to PS4 program. It's Gran Turismo 4 I can't play.
GT4, that's what I missed. I thought you were still talking about San Andreas.
Oh, yeah.
I still play
San well, it was technically 5. It was the spec. It was the GT spec. That was the last GT that I played. I can't say that was the last one I played, but then I skipped whatever came after that, and then I played Sport. And then that's when I looked for myself, was just kind of like, whoa, what happened with GT? like this isn't the same as when it comes to the quality, like the presentation and everything of GT was still the same, which was fantastic, which is one of the best. But when you came to the game itself, like looking at the model of the cars and things like that, I'm like, whoa, this isn't what I was expecting. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys felt the same way about that, but yeah, no, I mean,
I feel like 4 was the last one. When I bought Spec, I think that was on PS3, right?
Yeah, that was on 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the GameStop manager was like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. It's a demo on a disc. And my dumbass still bought it, and I took it back. He was like, "No, I'm not returning it."
Right, same thing. I didn't try to return it, but I played it. And I was like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "Nah, bro, this is bad business. Bad business."
I didn't play 5 though. 4 was the last one I played.
Sport isn't bad. It's just that there's a drop off of just what you used to seeing, in the sense of when you look at Forza 7. When you look at other like Project Cars, even, like, it just doesn't seem to be in that same, especially if you're playing it on the PlayStation 4. Now the Pro, it might be a lot better, but on the 4, nah, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't competing with anything else other than that. All right, cool. Bloody, what is your top 5, brother?
My top 5. So I said this before in the past, and I still stand by it. And and I think Saul may remember when I was on the show. So one of the first games that really stands out to me that absolutely I always put on there is Crash Bandicoot 2. And the reason I always mention Crash Bandicoot 2 is because of the fact that that was one of the first games I remember truly playing by myself when I was younger. When because it had just came out and my aunt had got it for the PS1 back in the day. And she left the PlayStation over at my dad's house because she couldn't have it at her house. So she would actually come over there and play it. And we would play it together all the time. We would take turns and she would actually let me do it. And I remember, because I still have it, she had printed out the actual full strategy guide for that game all on paper. So I have this old manila folder just of every single page of the strategy guide for Crash Bandicoot 2 way back in the day. And that game and that series just kind of really stuck with me because of the fact that was what really kind of inspired my love of gaming. And then the other game that actually stands apart is that my cousins actually had NES at their house. And when I would go over, they had Final Fantasy, but they specifically had Final Fantasy 6. And I still stand by the fact that Final Fantasy VI was one of my favorite and still the absolute all-time favorite Final Fantasies because it has one of the best villains in the game. And everyone will immediately say, no, Final Fantasy VII is the best. Everyone says Sephiroth is the best. No, you're wrong. Because the fact that Sephiroth does not compare even remotely to Kefka.
Thank you.
Because the fact that you're talking about a single man.
Kefka's a psychopath.
Exactly. Kefka, literally what he is a true psychopath. Because you're talking about a guy who was basically just a single court jester who basically worked his way into being the king's advisor, wanted to test their magic that they were creating using Magica stones. And basically went so insane from it, he was able to manipulate everyone in the entire kingdom.
Well, thank you. I don't need to play it then.
Yeah, you do. Because
I mean, you're telling me everything. I've never played Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, because the fact that when Kefka got found out, that every other advisor to the king basically said that Kefka's insane, you need to get rid of him, and they basically exiled him, threw him out into the middle of the desert, right? He gets saved by a small town, and when he comes to, he's just like, hey, where's the kingdom? They're like, it's that way. He's like, okay, cool. And then he basically murders everyone and burns the town down because he was bored.
Yeah, he reminds me of the governor a little bit from Walking Dead.
From Walking Dead.
Exactly. But you're talking about a not only that, but he's a villain that actually succeeded because halfway through the game, he destroys the world and basically becomes a god and recreates everything that he wants.
Now, notice, I just told Bloody, I never played Final Fantasy VI.
You spoiled the whole game for
yeah, I'm like, there's no need for me to play now. I mean, like, I've never played it. Like,
no, trust me, you need to see this man's descent. It's not.
I'm hearing it.
Hear it,
I'm hearing all of this. I'm hearing it,
but it does not hit until you really see this man's entire evolution.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're going to give it all to me.
You have not lived till you've seen chill pause. Yeah, and you have not lived until you've seen somebody suplex a train. That's it. Then you gotta see that.
Yeah.
Suplex.
Suplex a train. Yep. All but no, I was like, trust me. Just hearing about him is one thing, but when you actually experience his entire story, no, it's significantly different.
All this emo, angry soldier boy. Nah.
It's not that. It's not that. Okay.
He ain't that.
But I've heard Kefla was the real deal. I don't know. I said for myself, my favorite Final Fantasy that I got a chance to play was. I mean, I played 7. I played 7 all the way to what we have now. So. And 7 is 10 is my best. It's my favorite of all. Sin, you know what I'm saying? Sin and Titus, that whole thing. That was special. I thought that was definitely my favorite. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Blake.
Yeah, no, but trust me, I was like 6 is really what sold me in getting into Final Fantasy, and that's what kind of inspired my whole lifelong obsession with that. Number 3 for me, as I'm gonna go still old school, is if anyone remembers Gauntlet Legends.
I remember that.
Gauntlet Legends. Yeah.
Look at that.
Gauntlet Legends was really.
You got Raid over there, got him hype. He's like, oh.
Because the fact that it was an awesome co-op fantasy game that was really just enjoyable from the sheer like over the top nature of some of the powers, the skills, and the enemies that you would fight in the game, as well as the as some of the bosses that you would come across, right? And I loved it because of the fact that my cousin had it on his PS2, and we would play that game together a lot. And whenever our cousins would come over, everyone would have their own PlayStation controller because we had the adapter that would be able to change it from 2 to 4. And everyone had their own memory card, so everyone could save their own character data and stuff like that to be able to continue their play.
Facts.
But it was also at the same time that if anyone remembered that you could actually find Gauntlet Legends in arcades, and if you had the Dreamcast memory card, that you could actually just go to the arcades, play it there by plugging in the memory card to the side of the arcade cabinet, and be able to take your data from the arcade and be able to play it back on the Sega Dreamcast. So I ended up getting that game on Dreamcast and actually got watched my cousins all get memory cards, so that way whenever we go to the local arcade and we play it there, that we'd be able to save it whenever they came over to my house when we played on the Dreamcast.
Okay. Y'all did a lot of work for a good time. I'm
telling you. I know. I got
you.
Hey,
it was worth it. And that game was a lot of fun. It was a guilty pleasure back in the day.
Facts. That's a fact.
Number 4 for me still is what really got me into it. I was like, the first one absolutely blew me away when I saw it way back on the PS1. But playing through 3 is what really solidified it for me. But Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater was the first Metal Gear game that I beat by myself. And it was the one that really sold me on the story, because I watched my cousin play the first one when I was younger and then played it myself years later. And then when I played through 2, when it came out, I only did the tanker part because it was the shorter part. I could never do any of the shell part by myself. So he would actually play the rest of the game after the oil tanker, and I would watch him. But it was 3 that really sold my love of Metal Gear, that just basically inclined it into everything that I love, because I love the story, I love the characters, I love the stealth and the action and everything. And Metal Gear 3 has absolutely been one of my top games of all time.
And the best theme song ever.
Oh, absolutely. Best theme song ever. I was about to say, come on. I was like, as soon as you hear those opening notes, it's hard to not just immediately get caught into
like
it,
a James
right?
Bond movie.
It does.
It was basically a James Bond film, yes.
Yeah, just when you're young and you hear somebody singing Snake Eater, it's like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah. Well, you was literally eating snakes. Yeah, you was over there eating the hell out of some snakes. But yeah, okay. And all right, so you got one more. Let's go.
And number 5, because when I played it for the first time, I was like, the story captured me. Realizing everything that was going on really kind of hit, and it was so much so that I have a tattoo of it on my wrists. And anyone who's seen me in person knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about BioShock. BioShock was one of those games
classics,
that absolutely, the first time you experience it is simply mind-blowing, because the fact that everything you thought you knew in that game, when it all comes to a head at the climax at the very end, and you start realizing everything that you thought was just simply niceties, and realizing exactly what it is, the twist just simply blew my mind and literally just kind of left an impression on me, from the sheer understanding of the philosophies of the main characters and why the setting of the game is where it is, to understanding the truth about the main character. It just stuck with me so well that there was never a game that was really able to kind of give me that kind of twist and just shock that BioShock 1 had on me. I was like, don't get me wrong, BioShock 2 was great, and even Infinite was completely underrated.
Infinite was the GOAT for me.
Yeah, Infinite was underrated, hated at launch for no reason. Yet now everyone years later wants to talk about how good Infinite was. No, it was always good. You just didn't want to believe it.
I hated that he pulled back on the racial tones, because I was like, oh man, you could really go crazy with that.
Yeah, but it was simply the understanding of the world. Because if you spent the time to find all 400 of the audio logs, the entire world lore of BioShock is simply phenomenal. The world building and the writing and everything that kind of set up what happened in the 40 years going up to the creation of Rapture, up to the fall, when Jack comes to Jack comes upon it, it's simply phenomenal. And there's just so much that went into that game that just completely gets overlooked. But I still agree that it absolutely still holds up to this day, from the gunplay and the weapons to a lot of the mini games, and the powers are still absolutely unique. It is one of those games that to me will absolutely still be timeless.
Yeah,
No doubt.
really is. Like it's very interesting to see. I want to see what a Bioshock without Ken Levine looks like, because
I don't know if it'll work.
Be hard to live up to it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really hard.
I totally agree. I mean, listen, I felt like because Bioshock was amazing, and it is in Hanosis. You're absolutely right. Bioshock 2 doesn't get enough credit. It's really underrated, but I think the attraction of people playing as Big Daddy just wasn't there. Like a lot of people rather run for Big Daddy than play as Big Daddy, I thought. And so
I thought that was fun. It gave that overpowered feeling.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think people like that challenge of feeling nervous about hearing a Big Daddy coming for you. So, instead of being one, but Infinite was just special. I do wish, but again, at that time, I know where he was trying to go with it. To me, it would have justified the reason why one of the protagonists in the game did what she did, because of the racial overtones. But he didn't want to go there now. Or if Rockstar touched that, that would have been so left. I couldn't even imagine. But I definitely agree. I don't know if they can match the greatness of what Bioshock is. I totally agree with you on that, Bloody. It's great. It's a great title. It's a great title. And it was one of those titles that was in my top 20 for sure. All right. Rain, what is your top 5, brother? Let's hear it.
Oh, top 5, man. See this, and it's gonna change week to week, just depending on what my memory bank comes up with. Right? It does. And just depending on different type of games that we run into. That just gets those memory banks running. But for me, I gotta start, and I'm gonna be very specific with the games that I choose, because I could just say series and cop my way out or whatever the case might be. But I'm gonna say specific games just because of the timing, I guess more so. Halo 2, I'm gonna start off with. Halo for me was a very revolutionary series. I was a PC gamer very heavily, played Rainbow Six back in the day, multiplayer on PC. So I was heavily invested in that scene, and then to go from playing a game like that in that PC environment, and then come bringing that to console. And seeing it be done so well, especially with family, going to LAN parties, me being basically my pop's right-hand man. He was taking me to these different tournaments, trying to get that dub for him. So it was just a different experience for me at that time. It was a lot of time of togetherness, and it seemed like we were extremely happy. And then during that time, man, it was like the peak of gaming, especially as we jumped into Halo 2, because honestly, it redefined what multiplayer gaming was, and as we know it today, right? So I would start there, just to kind of get on the fighting game tip. And I went back and forth with putting either Tekken Tag 2 in there, or
Instant Classic, yes,
or Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
Fantastic!
And I have to put it in there just because it was one of the first games that I actually got imported. And because we were able to do that on the PS2, right? But it was one of those games where it has so much
or mod
chip,
because either one.
Or mod chip, either way. But it was one of those games that had so much depth in it, especially if you were involved in the Dragon Ball Z series, as a lot of us were back in the day. I'm a 90s kid, so it's like that was very prevalent throughout my childhood, especially Dragon Ball. So it was like growing up with this series and just always wanting to kind of be a part of it. Playing this and seeing how much further they took the series, because the manga always continued, and that never was reflected in what we were getting over on our side as far as like the Western TV channels and whatnot. We will always get the same seasons over and over again, and if not, they were re-rolling the same season. So it's like we could never progress forward. And again, at that time, until here recently, things haven't been very popular. You know what I mean? Like where everybody's on board, and now everybody's such an anime fan. So It redefined fighting games for me too. Very, very competitive. Intensity, customization was very thorough. From getting the capsules to unlocking the different characters, having to do very specific things to unlock certain things. I can just remember spending days just unlocking more and more characters throughout that game. So then I would have to move forward into the next game that comes to mind. Would probably be Devil May Cry 2. It redefined what combat systems could be.
Wow. Okay.
It redefined fighting, like what I can get from a combat system in the game. And kind of where it's like when you play a game like Black Desert Online, for example, where it kind of takes Devil May Cry, those aspects, and takes it to 10, giving you the abilities and extra combos, knocking down enemies and everything else, along with the PvP. It just kind of demonstrates to how far combat has come within just in games in total, because especially with these combat type games, it's all about the frames. It's paying attention to the frame detail, and every little thing matters, especially when you get into the combos and whatnot. And being very fluid. And
bro, that Scarlet Nexus is a little different. Hits a little different though. Yeah.
No, that Scarlet Nexus is perfect. I love it. I'm about an hour into it right now. I jumped into it right after work today. And I love the way that I love it. I'm playing at the 4K 60. It plays beautifully. It plays so smooth. The combat, the way that you roll into the combat, from throwing things, like it is like simple, but at the same time, it's not. And look, I suggest people play on the hard difficulty, but that's on the side.
That's what I'm doing. I'm playing.
I
playing
agree.
on hard difficulty.
Yeah, play on hard difficulty. Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it. It's not as hard as people may think.
No, it's not. But no, it's not. But it's good.
Devil May Cry 2 just kind of at that time redefined just the maturity in games. Again, I was younger around that time when it came out, so it gave you the maturity of it. Gave you a badass character as in Dante. That became my whole love for Dante right there. Him being the demonic dude that you just can't kill. He's the badass. He's gonna walk into the room like he don't give a hell and give you hell. You know what I mean? Like, right. And that was just something. Especially he had powers, brother. So it was just like he just came across so raw to me at that time. But I always expected a level of combat from my games because of that game. From that point forward, you know if that makes sense. But
no, it is an originator, no doubt about it. You're absolutely right.
Like I understand why some people don't like Dark Souls. You know what I mean? Because you have to be into that kind of combat. You know what I mean? Where it's all about timing and attention to detail and knowing what where you can go and whatnot. So it's like the combat heavy games, you tend to kind of pay attention more to certain little details, and that's one of them games that did it for me. But just to continue from there, I'm going to have to go with... Now, I was going to throw it back to Sonic CD, but that was more of a PC thing for me. So I'm going to go Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube.
Okay. Whoa.
It's the best Sonic game to date. If we want to argue it, you could try it. It's the best 3D Sonic game to date.
You want the smoke? I got you.
Oh man, really? That's what you think? Okay, but that's cool. We respect it.
There's no better, man. From the 3D Sonic experience, brother. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
And I relinquish.
No better one for the depth of the game. Yeah, for 3D. For 3D. And for 2D, I'm gonna go Sonic CD. We can argue with that.
Okay, all right.
We can argue with that. But that's PC though.
No matter.
We're trying to keep it the console. I was trying to exclude PC games.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's just consoles. It's just consoles. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So. But I play Sonic CD on actual PC. So, but yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was just a redefining experience.
Listen to this nerd. You know what I'm saying?
I'm one of those dudes, man, where it's like Sonic had more of a reflection on me than Mario did. I don't get the hype with Mario. I don't. Other than him being like the main character for Super Smash Bros. From back in the day on Nintendo 64, and people just being an asshole with him. Like, other than that, I really never cared for Mario. I know I played some of his games from back in the day on my Game Boys and whatnot, but other than that, like, he didn't click the way Sonic did. You know, it was just something about the blue hedgehog that wants to run fast. It gets Chaos Emeralds. It gets turned into this yellow hedgehog. There's all these like Super Saiyan abilities all of a sudden. It's like, dude, it's like it just clicked with me at that time. Anyway, and 90s was crazy for a lot of that too. You know what I mean? Especially with like the overtop supernatural type, just fantasy genre that was kind of out there at the time. But to round off my 5, I'm gonna say Gears of War 2.
Nice.
Again,
nice.
Gears of War is a classic game. It set up the genre. When I was introduced to Gears of War, it completely redefined third-person experiences for me. On not only the story side, but also on the multiplayer side, more so because that's what I spent the time in. And it's another one of those for me. Why I specifically chose Gears of War 2 is because it took what Gears 1 did and took it to the next took it to the next level, as the second game should, but in ways where they understood what they wanted from their core players for the multiplayer, and they just adjusted things and tailored things more to what the players wanted, of course, as they should have going into the second game. But they just reiterated on so many core things, along with the story. You finding out that Dom's wife got snatched, and you find her in that, and just that entire experience, emotional experience that puts you through with Dom, and then carrying over into 3. It was a soul snatching experience at that time. And Gears of War 2 will always and probably forever be one of the most genre-defining third-person experiences out there. I like the direction that Gears is going in now. I'm not over the head as a vet to the series. I'm not so over the head about it where I'm not going to welcome change, but at the same time, I do understand everybody's perspective, but I would definitely have to put Gears of War 2 in that final spot. So,
all right, nice. All right, Six Layer, you said that you wanted to make a rebuttal because you felt that he was frauding the public with the Sonic game. So
well.
So what's going on, man? Yeah.
And then I fell back because he clarified.
Oh, okay, you falling back now. All right, you falling back.
No. But then he went into the 2D and he placed his stake there too. And then now I still have the debate. So it's whatever. I'm gonna get into that number 2. But for number 1, and this is no particular list of which is more important than the others, except
no order. Okay,
3,
gotcha. Yeah.
Except for this first 3, I think are easily superior in my life than the last 2. So there is that delineation. But in between those 2 groups, like I don't think one is better than the other. Okay. So, I'm from that Nintendo generation. 85 Nintendo comes out. Didn't have one until 88 myself, or 87 maybe. But Mario.
It was 87 for me too.
Mario was the thing, bro. Mario was the thing, and I can understand, Still Rain not understanding Mario. That's what we had. That was the thing we had. By the time Sonic came out, I mean, Sonic was all about having attitude, and Mario just a little short Italian dude, in freaking whatever you call those things.
You know what? I'm going to have to say this too. I think I agree with Rain on this one, because it's just like when I was saying, like it was Balloon Fight that got me into the NES. It wasn't Mario because I didn't get a chance to play it. And I'm not as keen on Mario. I like Mario, don't get me wrong, but I was more associated with Sonic too. I feel Rain on that one because but that's cool. But I know Mario is a juggernaut. Rushmore for sure.
Well, game number 1 and game number 2. Okay, game number 1 is a Mario game, and the next game I'm going to mention is the Sonic game. But for the Mario games, I come from the generation of the NES, and there was a group about a couple years later who started equally on the Super Nintendo, the 16-bit generation, not the 8-bit generation. Maybe they played some a little bit after the fact or during meantime, but generally they started up on the 16-bit era. And, there's the eternal debate between the top 2, side-scrolling Mario games, and that's Mario 3 and Mario World. And I'm definitely on the side of Mario 3, but I think that's really an age group thing. I think Mario 3 was a perfection of the classic design and gameplay elements. And Mario World was really just, I don't want to say minor improvements, but improvements on that overall design, but not really, a revolution like Mario 3 was, I feel. But I mean, by a close 51-49, usually when you get a poll on that, and I see why I feel equally, it's very close. So that's number 1, Super Mario Brothers 3, definitely. So the Sonic game, I played Sonic 1 day one in New York. My brother, I don't know where he was getting his Genesis games, but he was always getting everything first. day one. His Genesis had to be a day one production run system because on the box, I remember the box on the, they have pictures of the system, all set up in like a, like this is for instance next to a TV and whatnot, but the cartridges were the Japanese design. Like that's how early the box was. They even have the American design of the cartridges on them. They had the Japanese.
So what part of New York, Sick?
Well, Brooklyn.
So he was going out to the what's it called, the Brooklyn Bazaar, or he was going downtown to Chinatown. He was going either to JNL or he was going to
JNL
to Penguin Village,
possibly, Penguin Village, or possibly the comic shop in Flatbush, Bulletproof.
Exactly.
I don't know where he went to get those games at the time. I was just a little, 10-year-old brother. He would just bring them back to his place, and I would be there on weekends playing games. So he always had the news. He always had the new games.
I was in all those grimy places. Those places were grimy places.
Wow. Listen.
Fresh off the ship.
Listen, I'm glad Lemon ain't even here, because right now it would turn into Brooklyn. Brooklyn talk. You know what I'm saying?
Lemon knows about
all
those spots.
Lemon definitely would be talking about that.
That's why we were such big importers of games. Like once we found that, we didn't care. Like we didn't import RPGs, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go
whatever.
I did the same thing. Yeah, no doubt. Like even in Oklahoma. Yeah, I found them, but I use mod chips.
We go to GameFAQs. We download entire translations, written translations of these games.
Y'all was doing it big. I was just trying to figure the game out because, listen, I understand that especially in the '90s, Oklahoma still isn't on the level of these big states when it comes to that, but to having stores and things like that. But for the people that I did socialize with, that had gaming stores that were talking about that stuff, I definitely was all into it. And once they had games that could be ported over from the PlayStation and from anywhere else, okay, let's put this in. And I was trying to learn those games. And some of those games I learned, especially JRPGs, I didn't know what the hell that they were saying because they were in Cantonese, but I still kept trying until I figured it out for certain titles. I definitely feel that for sure. I wish I did have somebody that I knew that could translate that stuff. It would be a whole different world for me.
There was so much trial and error with us when it came to like fighting games and stuff like that. Yeah. Because we get it day one, there may not be a fact for it. So we're just in there messing with it. We're trial and error. Oh, wait, press this. What does it do? Okay, it moves on to the next one.
Wow.
And it was just
Yep.
It would take us sometimes a half hour to get to the gameplay.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But that was dedication, man. That was so much fun. It was just so much fun.
Those days were nuts. But the reason I brought all that up is, New York is a major port. We would get stuff instantly, fresh, immediately.
All right. We can't keep doing all this riding for New York. Listen, you know what I'm saying? We spread out here at GRG. Come on, man. Get to your top five. Get to your top five.
My point is, Sonic 1 I had before anybody even knew about it. Beat the game 6 Ways to Sunday with all the emeralds. I knew the code to get to every, to pick your level, all that. Mm-hmm. And I remember when the game first officially came out where people knew about it and it was in stores, I happened to be at a Sears where they had a big display with multiple TVs all linked together. So it's like a bigger display. And, I grabbed the controller. I had beaten the game countless times by that point. Grabbed the controller, did the level set code, and was playing the last level. A bunch of people came around. So the Sonic games were always great, but the best was Sonic 3, but the complete version, when you take Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, connect the two cartridges together to get the original experience. The Michael Jackson developed music. We know the history about it, and Brad Buxter and all that situation. Apparently, that might have been worked out because finally we're gonna get that ported back with the widescreen and all that. But the music, you knew the Michael Jackson influence at the time. He was still the biggest. This is just before the accusations had come out against him. The gameplay was the utter perfection, like Mario 3 was, but to a degree like I've never seen it done better, even in the 3D games. Like Adventure 2 and Adventure 1, they tried to replicate that in the 3D realm, and those two come the closest in that regard to what that game did. Yeah, when it had the saving of and all the levels you went through to get You get the emeralds, you turn into a supersonic, and then like a super, and then a hypersonic. You know, fighting in space at the end. It's ridiculous, and it's a 2D game. Absolutely, mwah. Game number 3, Chrono Trigger.
So that's a beast. I played that when I was older, but that is a beast. That's on the level.
You hear that? That's a cartridge right here. Okay, it's close to my heart all times. If every game setup I have a copy of the thing right there is of just mine. I look back and like that's my shit still. Like, dude, they took the best of Final Fantasy VI and the best of Secret of Mana. The combat, the weapons, the originality, the story. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's more lighthearted. It's a epic. And when you beat the game finally, and the music is playing that cutscene, and it's all majestic, and you're just sitting back and you're thinking back, the times you had playing the game, just amazing. Amazing.
That's a game that to me deserves the FF7 remake treatment.
Absolutely.
Great for all time. Great for all time.
But they really should just redo both Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger, both of them.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. And the one thing that I would also say with that, because I think the man that did the animation, he passed away for Dragon Ball Z, the one who did the same thing. Yeah, I think he passed away.
No.
Is he still alive? Okay.
Oh yeah, Dragon Ball is bigger than ever. Yeah.
Right. Bring him back to do the animations and remake that game. Yeah, it would sell like hotcakes. That game was absolutely phenomenal because I played it when I was older. I played it when I was an adult. So it definitely gravitated to me. So yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's a great point. Great one.
Okay, special mention to Musha on the Sega Genesis. That's like the radiant silver gun of that platform. Ooh. 2 copies are made.
On a Musha? Musha. What the hell was that? What is that? What is that?
Google it. Look at that box art. Put it on the screen. I'm telling you, brother. Okay. Do it right now. I promise. Go do it right now.
If you want to talk, if you talk about classic, I love Tenchu way back in the day.
Ooh, right.
Oh yeah. Sovereign brought that up. Yeah, he brought up about
actually Tenchu. Again, I got Tenchu. I got the Japanese version first. And so we had it. We didn't know what the hell that was. All I know, I bought that from Penguin Village, and I go, and they had it playing on the screen. And the dude is like, "This is what he knows me." So he's like, "B, this is what you want." And I'm like, "What the hell?" Oh, Ninja. And the thing is, the moment I grappled up to a roof,
that was it.
And I dropped down behind the dude and slit his neck. I was like, "Give me the game." And so that was early in the Saturday. So Saturdays we were heading to Cog's house. I got to Cog's house, and we're on our multiplayer thing. So I forgot. I think we were playing wrestling that day, and I'm like, "Yo, we need to turn that off. You need to see this thing that I copped." If we were not on that game, just watching it going back and forth, people watching me play, passing the controller off for hours after that. For all of us, it was really our first experience with true stealth, like on the console. It was, again, it predated Metal Gear Solid 1. And it was a little janky, it was a little broken, but nothing compared to you sneaking behind an enemy, slitting his throat, and then just rappelling up to the rooftop and disappearing into the darkness. I was like, oh my God.
It was amazing. And the music in Tenchu was absolutely fantastic. Lord. It was wow.
Such memories.
Okay.
Such memories.
Yep.
All right.
That one.
Okay, now Musha. Musha is it?
I'm looking at Musha right now. Yeah, it's a Met game. I never played it. Never touched it.
More in the line of Truxton. All-time great. Oh my God, I love this genre, but that's a special mention. Okay, number 4. Listen,
I'm hearing this music. This music
said about Tekken. Okay. You said all these great superlatives about Tekken and all the other 3D fighters, Virtua Fighter and what have you. But the game that validated the genre in and of itself and is still the all-time classic, the GOAT, Street Fighter 2.
Of course.
They can't. All those other greats could not have been in their time. Maybe later, if it wasn't. That's right. If it wasn't for Street Fighter 2, put respect on the name for all-time great.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2,
5, top 10 game of all time. Everybody's list. Like it has to be.
It was such a monumental leap over 1. Like One wasn't even. It didn't even feel like it was a fighting game.
No. Yeah, it was different. Yeah,
this version they were doing. Yes.
Yeah.
And man, too. I mean, again, it's one of those things that you juggle them in and out.
Folks, please don't get that confused. I see a lot of the people in chat are talking about the variation. Just Street Fighter 2, the original, even though it was flawed, right? What it did in and of itself alone, like, validates everything.
Street Fighter 2 brought the genre to be commercial, no doubt about it.
And the fact that like it wouldn't have even reached those heights. Again, it was already super big in the arcades already. But the fact that SNES port was so good, is what really solidified it, because then everybody had it in their house. Everybody could practice the Dragon Punch at home.
The Pac-Man of the 90s.
had the better port.
It really was like that SNES port really took fighting games to another level.
TurboGrafx had the best port, but that was the import only.
It was 3DO.
Yep, 3DO had the best port. Because I remember asking my mom for a 3DO, and she said, "Boy, that 3DO, that thing costs more than the rent." She said, "Boy, that thing costs more than the rent. You got your damn mind." I said, "Oh,
that's one of the few games that validated that system." Yeah. But Street Fighter 2, I mean, I can't speak any more highly of it. One of the greatest games ever of all time, period, flat out. The last game that also helped to validate its genre, but on the console, that is the one and only Halo. What it did with LAN play, what some engineering folks did with some networking magic, including a router and a switch, and some Ethernet cables to be able to even play that online, to extend that LAN play online, but even to have the local multiplayer, 2 analog sticks. You only have 2 weapons at a time. You don't have the whole arsenal that you find on your back magically somehow. No, 2 guns. One that's in your hands and one that you have on your, slung on your back or whatever. That's it. And so, that brings about tactics and stuff, like more tactical choices. It's about the guns, the grenades, the melee.
Yes.
That's Halo.
Okay.
Halo for just, oh my God, the campaign, the story, the universe it brings is as detailed and as great and as interesting as anything you see in Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever great sci-fi epics, Dune, whatever you want to say. Halo is up there with them in of its universe. The type of stories you could tell within that universe. Halo is just so. Those are my top 5. And one shout out that really resonates with me that I definitely had to mention.
All right, nice. You know what, PK, you the last one to take us home. I'm so glad
I don't think we're gonna get to any other topics after.
Oh no. We got the other topics.
Effect,
hey, this is exactly what happens, and this is it. We got the other topics. But I do think that you know what I'm saying? Like I said, one of the topics will definitely be knocked out. But I think everybody else will be kind of quick with everything else, except for a particular one that I think that we'll be talking about. But anyway, I'm glad that I dropped it to 5 instead of 10. Or that's what the whole podcast would have been, with the top 10 console games of all time. No doubt. I do gotta read the super chat. Henosis, man, thank you so much. He said Silent Hill franchise was hard to get into, literally, but once I finished an ending and got hooked on the franchise, love the nostalgia of y'all's favorites. Silent Hill was a beast at that time. I don't know what changed for me. Silent Hill, I played Silent Hill 1 through 3 was cool. I like scary games. I played The Condemned. I played all the Resident Evils until
Dino Crisis is still underrated.
What'd you say?
That Dino Crisis is still an
Dino Crisis was a beast. Yeah. That game definitely. Capcom needs to bring that game back for sure. But I was playing all different types. Silent Hill was the one right there, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what the hell happened. I just got old and I just got scared, I guess, because I just don't like them no more. I can't fuck with those scary games anymore. I just can't deal with them. I can't.
I need more Silent Hill. That's why I'm excited that they're bringing back. That's why I'm excited that they're bringing back. Fatal Frame is the real one, though, if you want to talk about it.
I played Fatal Frame. I thought Fatal Frame was great.
That's why I'm glad that they're bringing back Fatal Frame with Maiden of the Blackwater.
Yeah,
but that one is terrifying.
Premonition. that premonition game.
Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, I don't know what changed for me, but I went back just like last year or the year before last, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to stream Resident Evil 7. And so me and my wife were sitting here, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. Let me just go ahead and play it right now, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. I just like, I can't do it. I can't, as Don would say, I can't do spooky anymore. I just can't do it. So I just can't do it. I got old and paranoid, I guess. I don't know. But, but yeah, all right. PK.
That old man coming out of you.
It is. That's what I'm saying. I got old. I got paranoid. But PK. All right, man. Close us out with the top 5, man. What do you have? What is your classics? Because I know you're going to come out and try to act like everybody's top 5 is beneath yours. So let's go. What you got? What you got, brother?
I don't act. I mean, everybody has the preference.
Look, did you hear it? Did you hear it? All right, the slander. Let's go. All right, let's go. What you got? What you got, brother?
I guess I guess the question is, what's my top 5 console games?
That's the question. Yeah, ever since I dropped it like at 1:00 p.m. today. Yeah.
Turtles, Pokemon, Gears, Persona, Final Fantasy.
Which Persona? Which Turtles?
All of them.
So you're just going by franchises?
Yep.
So
all right, quick and easy. I like it.
I got to know which. I mean, all the Turtles, because there was the NES Turtles was awful.
Still loved it for its time.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Still a fan at the end of the day. Sonic, also a fan of that series too.
Okay. Yeah, I got that. And then you said Persona, but which one is your favorite Persona?
5 is probably my favorite.
Which one?
5.
5? Over 3?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
3 had to change voice actors, and when they
I know they had to change. They had to change the villain because the villain was But yeah, I got you.
Well, they had to change more than that.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, they really had to do a lot of changing on 3. They were like, Americans ain't ready for what 3 is really giving in the Japanese version. But I got you on that. So I thought people started gravitating to Persona with 4. And I thought if you was going to say Persona, you would probably say 4, but you saying 5. Okay. All right.
4 was good, but 5 is the one that really brought it mainstream.
And nonchalant.
It did.
The nonchalant protagonist. He's not that exciting.
Yeah, you is kind of one of the more unappealing of all the protagonists.
Yeah, he's not that.
Yeah, that's why I think everyone kind of really resonated either with Joker or you think of her from 3. Well, everyone likes 4 simply for the side characters, not so much for the main character.
Yeah, the side characters were better.
Yeah.
Than the main character in that game, and that's the thing.
All right, cool, quick and simple. All right, so let's get on to the topics. All right, so let's get to it. This was free Iron Lords, pretty much. Yeah. All right, so Phil Spencer in an interview, I say he pretty much confirmed that Killer Instinct was coming back. Now the question is Iron Galaxy is going to be back on board for the game, or will they look for another developer? And the other thing that I will add to this, do you think that this game is maybe already in development? Because Phil is now basically talking about the game. I mean, there's been people that have been talking about this game for the last couple of years, especially like Maximilian and everybody else. But could it be that maybe Iron Galaxy is got an open spot, or you think that they're looking for, or they're going another direction? So I'm going to go to you straight on this with PK first. What do you think, man? What's first off, do you think that Killer Instinct is definitely going to make a return? Because it sounded like Phil Spencer was already making a commitment to saying that it was. He said, look, him and Matt Booty, they've talked about it, they discussed about it, and they would like to bring this game back. The game was successful. Where are you at on this?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to come back for sure. It's it is definitely on his radar, and of course, his main point was got to find the right team that can pick it up and bring it justice. So, at the moment, Iron Galaxy does not work for Microsoft. They are contracted, and the ones who developed Killer Instinct in the beginning got bought by Amazon. So, it's more or less finding a right fit that will continue to bring or keep the essence of the game without changing it, altering it too much where it's unrecognizable. So, do I think it's in development? No.
Okay.
Again, he would have stated that. He said he needs to find the right team. He wouldn't. He didn't have to say that, but he did. So that's where he's at with it. He's got to find a good fit.
Okay. All right. What about you, Still Rain? What do you think?
All right, good talk. Next.
Thank you. All right.
My fault. I was on mute. My fault.
All right.
But no, do I think they're working on Killer Instinct? I mean, I do. I think it needs to come back per se. I do think they're probably working on it, making some talks in the background again. I mean, there's obviously something going on with the whole Discovery AT&T deal, WB shifting some things around. There's obviously something going on, and NetherRealm is kind of like in that balance. I'm still wanting to hear more news about what may be going on in the back end for a lot of that. We do know that there is some interest as far as getting a lot of those WB assets, and what I just necessarily feel what I don't know if we can necessarily make a Killer Instinct game if NetherRealm isn't going to put their hands on it at this point. I mean, we're just going to get another Injustice, which is Injustice 3, which might be a solid game. I'm not really that big of a DC fan, so I'd rather them work on something like a Marvel versus Mortal Kombat or whatever. That would be more ideal for me. But yeah, I mean, just to bring it back, I think NetherRealm would be the next best studio to touch Killer Instinct for me personally. I don't see anybody else that I particularly have an interest in. I mean, it's just kind of hanging in the balance without Phil, pushing it forward or looking for the right team to get their hands on it. I mean, again, we don't want to just throw it away to anybody. It's a beholden IP to a lot of people, and the people want to see it done right. Other than that, I mean, I'm not the biggest Killer Instinct fan, so I hope that they're working on it, because I mean, we need it over on this side. Again, as far as it goes, when you think of fighting games, regardless, you think in a PlayStation 9 times out of 10 or a PC. So if you want to keep it real, if you're trying to step into a space where you may be lacking something like a Killer Instinct, but reiterating what you already had and taking it to that next level, I only personally see NetherRealm being able to do that. And what better version to do a Mortal Kombat cross Killer Instinct? I think that's just so perfectly lined up. MK versus KI. I can just see it labeled and plastered on commercials, billboards, the case. Like, I don't know. That's me, man.
All right, cool. What about you on this one? Slayer, what about you? I mean, do you think that this game is maybe possibly that, since they've been talking about it? I mean, Phil kind of works in a different type of way. He doesn't really like to talk about games unless he knows for certain that those type of games are going to be coming out. And so
he definitely learned his lesson on.
He definitely learned his lesson. The Crackdown 3s and Scalebounds, those days are over. So obviously, when he made this point, he said, look, we've been talking about it, but yeah, we definitely are looking for it. But he's telling the gamers as well, look, we just got to find the right studio. So if Iron Galaxy behind, who I think is in charge is Adam Boyes, if he's not going to allow Iron Galaxy to get a hold of it, what do you think about maybe NetherRealm, since a lot of people keep talking about, that or whatever?
NetherRealm would be cool. NetherRealm would be cool, but examine the original question that you posed, originally to PK or whoever. Actually, first I already forget who, but anyway, so the odd thing to me is this is to me a matter of fact, not opinion. this question has been asked of Pete, of Phil Spencer and other folks at Xbox for a while about a Killer Instinct sequel and why there isn't one, or is there one in development and whatnot. And it's been explained, hey, the developer isn't really available to do that right now, and unless they can find the right developer, it can't go forward, and they're not going to force it to go forward without the right developer for it. NetherRealm would be great. That's cool. I don't know if they're the only ones available who could, but that list is very short. It's probably between 2 or even 3 developers only. Iron Galaxy is one of that, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe some other dark horse that doesn't come to mind right now, but exists somewhere, I'm sure. But generally, this is, every time it's been asked, that's generally the answer has been given. Until the right developer comes along, we're not gonna force it and make a crappy entry in the series. But I could have sworn most recently, once again it was asked, or what it was that somebody, or Iron Galaxy, I believe, maybe,
yes,
said, hey, we're finally ready now. We think, hey, come holla at us. They said something publicly to that degree some recently, and I believe that's why this whole conversation is going on right now about this stuff once again. But it's first, I gotta say, I blame the gaming press and whatnot that it's not even made clear what's really going on. Because as I said in the beginning, this is a matter of opinion. This is just a matter of fact right now. As the question you asked, they didn't have anybody, but now the one development house that they expected to do that sequel is now saying, "Hey, we're back around. What's up?" So okay, cool, but maybe they could team up with NetherRealm, to make this game, and it sows the seeds for the Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat in the future. Oh, bless you. And maybe it sows that seeds for that in the future, because they get to know each other and work together, and see how that works out as they make Killer Instinct 2. And it leads into that next project, or maybe it leads into these guys really seeing that, hey, maybe we should be bought out by Microsoft after all. Maybe that really is the fit for us. And they and maybe Warner Brothers sees that, or maybe they see that as validation for doing a long-term partnership with Xbox or whatever. It sows a lot of potential seeds that could sprout into something really good. But that's what it really was, a fact thing that Iron Galaxy seems like they're back around and is down to do the game finally. So they could be in talks right now at best. Don't expect anything for a while. And that's even if they would start right now, because that may not turn out to be nothing. Then it may be someone else later on, immediately or sometime way later, before development even begins. So don't expect a sequel anytime soon. That's what I gotta say on that, frankly.
All right, cool, excellent. All right, what about you, D? What about you? What do you think? I mean, what do you think that Xbox has got up their sleeve with this game? Do you think that they might possibly have some negotiation working out already, or is it that they're still trying to find the right developer to work on Killer Instinct? And do you even think the Killer Instinct is going to come out, anytime soon?
I'm honestly not sure. I haven't, to be frank, been paying very close attention to the strategic hintings and things of that nature. So I honestly don't know. I don't have any kind of guesstimation. I think it can go either way. As we've seen, things can happen randomly overnight as far as, leaks and announcements. So I honestly don't know. And I don't have any predictions. I don't like speaking on things I'm not well versed in. So I'm not sure. I hope they do, since the last generation, around this time, 6 months in, Xbox One was still trying to do that Connect thing. Not that I'm anti-Connect, but I mean, we see how quickly they dropped it. So I'm hoping Xbox One, they've kind of learned from any mistakes that may have hindered it as far as certain releases being attached to it. But it seems that Microsoft is going in a decent direction and learning from their mistakes. But as far as Killer Instinct releasing, that I don't know.
Okay. All right. Quick to the point. I got you. All right. So what about you? What was you gonna say?
Nothing. I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. I mean, no, I got you. I mean, hey, if you ain't really got too much of a take on it, I got you on it. All right. So what about you, Sovereign? What do you think about this?
I mean, I think when Phil talks about it, obviously it's been, I guess the rumblings came from kind of the FGC community. They started talking about, hey, we need Killer Instinct back. We want Killer Instinct back. Not everybody, but I mean, the people that were really into it when it first dropped in 2013, I thought it was great, that it was free to play for that first batch of fighters, and it kind of got you in the door. And honestly, I think that Xbox One launch lineup was pretty stellar, to be honest, with the stuff that came out with that, with the Rising 3 and Rise and stuff like that. And just to add Killer Instinct to that mix, I thought it was great, and I enjoyed it a lot. So for me, I think it's inevitable that it's coming back. I don't think it's in development right now, but I think it's definitely in the plans, and specifically for one reason: Game Pass. I think Game Pass.
Great point.
Exactly.
Game Pass has shown that you have a community there already waiting for multiplayer games, right? Whether they be shooters, whether they be fighters, whether it be sports games, whatever the case may be, you have that community built in there that's already, and it's continuing to grow. So if you put, a free-to-play fighting game in there day one with, 30 million people potentially being able to look at it and play that game, there's going to be a level of success there that you're not going to find selling that game piecemeal anywhere else. So I think being that is kind of the core sort of crux of what Game Pass is, I think it's inevitable that we get it. But like everyone has said to this point, I don't think they have the team quite yet. I think Iron Galaxy makes a whole lot of sense because they did seasons 2 and 3. Double Helix is gone now.
Right.
But then if they're not able to or they're not willing to,
what happened to Double Helix? I knew that they were supposed to be.
They got purchased by Amazon.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And look at how that's going for them. Just
exactly. Right. I mean, sometimes you never know. But so there are a couple of different interesting possibilities here for a sequel. So first off, right, when the first Killer Instinct came out, it did happen. Obviously, Double Helix worked on it completely, but it was with some help from Rare, right? It just obviously the characters, everything is theirs. So there was some collaboration there. Obviously, Rare right now, it doesn't seem like it's built to make a fighting game. It's built to make sort of ongoing live service games. Yeah. So, but who knows? Because I mean, when you look at all of these Xbox first party studios right now, a lot of them have secondary and tertiary teams that we weren't even aware of. When you look at Obsidian, they're like, yeah, they're working on 3 or 4 things. We're like, what? Obviously some of them are small, like a Grounded or something like that. But it seems like a lot of these teams are divvied up into quite a number of smaller teams working on things. So it's not out of the realm possibility that you could get a team at Rare to go back to sort of their roots and make this fighting game. So another interesting sort of possibility is they've been real cozy with Sega. I'm not talking about purchases or anything like that, but AM2 isn't really doing anything. They dropped that they dropped that Virtua Fighter for PlayStation right now, and I'm sure they're sort of supporting that, and that in and of itself is this kind of push to get back into like play sort of esports fighting game stuff. So I don't think, and if it's good. And it looked like Guilty Gear Strive. Would anybody really be mad? I don't think so.
You know what?
I mean, to be fair, you're not wrong. Those animations, especially for like
Strive looks amazing.
Guilty Gear Strive is beautiful.
They're spectacular. But listen, we know how social media is, and we know how the stands act. They would definitely say, "Oh, look, y'all reduce yourselves to cartoon graphics. Why you couldn't do what Street Fighter done? Things like that."
I'll be like, keep hating.
No, definitely. The thing of it is that could ARC maintain what they doing, what Iron Galaxy is done, and Double Helix with the netcode and how fast that game moves. That's the problem that makes that. I think that's the whole thing, because you would think that there would be developers all over that can make a game like that, but once you watch the documentary, I don't know if you checked it out, Sovereign, but they were saying, look, there's really not that many developers that can make a game like Killer Instinct because they have a different type of process. And that to me blew my mind. Like, what? Like,
yeah.
But
Pixelbit G in the chat feels very strongly about this. He's not about that at all.
He's not.
He needs to look like MK. Period. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not super precious about how Killer Instinct looks to be mad about it looking like an art game. Like not me. I don't know. Mm-mm.
No, I feel the same way. I mean, listen, but you definitely know that people would definitely come after the throat of Microsoft by saying that they had to dumb down the game, regardless of how. Because I mean,
why would it be dumbed down?
How would it be
dumbed
down?
Exactly. Okay, but let's just look at what they did with Battletoads. Mm-hmm. Battletoads looks great, but again, because everybody was expecting the Battletoad that Maximilian dude helped create, because it followed into the graphical scheme of what Killer Instinct has, people were assuming that the next Battletoads was going to look like that. And instead of going back to where the roots were, people downgraded, even Xbox gamers. So that's the thing to me, is that they would say that Xbox would definitely try to dumb down for Game Pass fodder. I'm agreeing with you, but I got
two words for that.
I can hear it. I can see it.
Listen, I don't think anybody in the know is not going to look at an Arc System Works game and be like, this is Game Pass fodder.
I promise you they will. I promise you they will.
They will.
I agree with you guys 100%.
Because if that's the case, then that's the fact is, if they really look at it like that, then it shows that they're not about being fans of Arc System.
Well, they're not a fan of anything. They're just
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Those opinions don't matter. Screw them. We're talking about what we want.
Okay,
and the studios that we believe
you're saying screw them, bloody. But the fact of it is that once that comes, the gaming media, which that will be one of our topics before we get out of here, that we're going to talk about, is going to run with it. There's going to be an article from Game Rant or from IGN or from somebody that's going to say,
do people really actually pay attention to Game Rant though? IGN has been getting called out lately.
Obviously,
I don't care,
bro. They've
been getting called out on every.
I know the opinions. The opinions are going to be out there,
right?
But if Arc makes a great game, forget about how it looks. If they make a great game, it's not gonna matter.
No, I totally agree. And Game Pass is gonna make that work. No,
it will do well. Yeah.
It's gonna do well. That's not because I mean, look, we've heard about the cracking is lacking on Sea of Thieves, all of that. I get that. I'm just saying in the sense of when people jump in and they want to make their narratives because they're saying this, and how people looked at Killer Instinct as it was in 2013. People are expecting that game to be on that same type of level, even increased, like NetherRealm is done with Mortal Kombat. I'm just telling you right now, that's just exactly how people are going.
And ArcSys can absolutely elevate that art style.
I know they can. I'm not disagreeing with you.
I love Mortal Kombat.
I'm not disagreeing with you, bloody.
With them sticking to realistic character models, some of those animations still look stiff just because of the nature of them being so realistic.
I got you.
An art game doesn't have those limitations.
No.
It can be super stylized. Like I love Mortal Kombat. I love what they've done with Mortal Kombat. But if you look at it, sometimes there are moments. There are times in fights like when Scorpion throws out his chain or whatever. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it looks so stiff. It looks stiff. It always looks like he's standing straight up and doing it. He doesn't have any momentum to him. And I find that prevalent in those games all the time, and it's because of how realistic the character models look. And to me,
I've never liked the 3D ones except beginning with 9, the remake.
Yeah, I know. I love them. I love them, but there's still a stiffness to them that I think, and again, it's a preference thing, right? It's a preference thing. But for me, like I said, I'm not so precious about Killer Instinct that it has to be this way, it has to be that. If you make a great game, I'm in.
Facts.
I'm in.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree, but I'm just letting you guys know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be there.
And that can happen fine, because no matter what, the people who are going to hate are going to hate on it. It don't matter.
Yeah,
right. So, and you know what? I'm just going to jump right in right now. I'm agreeing with Saul. I was like, I would love Iron Galaxy to come back because they have the skills with it. They understand the IP. They have the history with it. They get that because they picked up much better over what Double Helix had originally founded. And when you talk about Killer Instinct now, especially when everyone talks about the definitive edition, especially after season 3 came out, they always attribute it to Iron Galaxy. They don't care about Double Helix anymore. It's the fact of that they say, hey, it was the fact that Iron Galaxy came in because they had practice with other fighting games and really built upon it. But what Sav is saying is if Iron Galaxy can't get to it, I agree. ArcSys has a pedigree of fighting games that are beyond stylized, that have some of the best netcode, and as well as some of just the best fighting mechanics systems. The only other company or other studio that I would even consider besides ArcSys themselves, who remember did fighters nonetheless, would have to be CyberConnect 2. Because they're the ones who made the visuals that everyone talks about and praised, and Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And don't forget that they're also doing they're also working on the Demon Slayer fighting game coming from Sega. And everyone has been talking about how great that game looks.
No, the game looks fantastic, but we're talking about, okay, I'm going to read the super chat.
And what I'm saying is that even still, they can take the way that the models look in KI, because KI is still very much a comic book styled, but yes, they're heavily detailed, but you could still add that sort of manga-esque cell-shaded graphics and still have that very similar look to what KI already has. That's not an issue.
I'm not, as for me, as me been screaming and touting for another KI, and me going out there and putting myself out there saying that there will definitely be another KI. If there would be only one of those games that will come back from the Xbox One era, KI would be that one. I would definitely have to agree with my man Pixel on this one. And this is it right here. He says, gotta put it in the lights. Let's be real. KI was always a visual showpiece and a spunk on MK. It can go. What it means. What'd you say?
I think he means spoof.
Spoof,
basically a satire.
Yeah, a satire. Yeah, but he said spook. Yeah, but I was just like, okay, all right. But I read it the way he's supposed to. And he said, it can't go cartoony, fam. It needs the works, including ray tracing, and that's where I agree with it. Listen, I'm not, if KI coming, I'm playing. It's going to be a part of Fight Night in the rotation. I'm no life in it, just like the other one. That's no question to me. I don't care about what somebody said. I'm buying that game. It's, you know what I'm saying, the Ultimate Edition. I'm getting it. I'm not playing around with it. I love Game Pass, but I'm not playing with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get it. But
who's to say Arc wouldn't adhere to that art style and just make an Arc type game looking like
Arc's games never ever came out like that before. Now, I mean, listen, Arc is so good at what they do. If they made a realistic art style with that, I definitely agree. Arc is probably going to do it the best than anybody else.
If you look at Strive isn't that far off. Strive is essentially 3D. It's 3D models, but it's 3D models, but kind of cell shaded, kind of. So it gives it that realistic look.
No, it is. I'm playing it on. I got it on PC, the better version compared to what it looks amazing with the ray tracing. It looks amazing. No, I'm not knocking it. I'm saying though, it would get that slander, and I know that. Listen. You can talk with that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all guys are going to be talking about this on Sunday. I know that there's going to be Least Cognito or Addict or somebody's going to be saying the same thing that I'm saying.
It'll probably be King that'd be like, nah.
It gotta be. It's got to be. You can't. That game, even back then when it was at the arcades and even when it was on the NES, it was a showpiece. It looked ultra real. It looked ultra realistic for the graphics that they could push at that time. You can't go back and try to revert to make it, because there will be people that said that Xbox dumbed it down because they just wanted to get the game out there so they could put it on Game Pass. I know what people are going to do with it.
But the 30 million people playing it on Game Pass are going to say otherwise.
Xbox ain't going to pay. Ain't going to matter. They're going to be like, look at this money. I got you.
I don't know how changing the look of it is called dumbing it down. I was like, that's one thing.
That's what they said that they're. I'm not saying it's going to be dumbing down, but that's what they're going to say.
If it still has the highest, if it still has the highest skill ceiling that you would expect of it, it doesn't matter. I was like, people who believe in that they don't care. They really don't care. We've already seen that the people who do all this talk, all they do is talk. They don't even stand by half the things that they do. That's honestly, why I'm saying is that whole point of this conversation shouldn't matter, because the fact that you're asking who we think and this is what we're saying, it doesn't even matter about what.
But Bloody, if the game, I would agree with you. I would agree with you 100%. Bloody, I got you, but I would agree with you 100% on that. And Sovereign. But the fact that game has never ever had a cartoon or anime look to it, gameplay wise, that would definitely put people on pause. And I'm not. And like I said, I agree. I'm still going to be playing the game nonstop. If the game still plays like it has been for all the years, I'm still going to be killing that game and enjoying it and loving it. I'm just telling you what the slander is going to be. And listen, yeah, a lot of people shouldn't care about the slander. I wouldn't personally, but I'm just telling you, just as a person that's being a host, telling other people out there, and as you see people in the chat, they're going to say, look, hey man, this is the real deal. This game isn't what we were expecting, especially when you have the powerhouse of the Series X as being the console of this generation right now that is the more dominant at this point in time. You showcase Killer Instinct. It's got to look like what it was looking like on the Xbox One, but like 4 or 5 times better. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay, all right. Anybody else got anything? So okay, all right, cool. I'm just saying that. All right, Bloody, you had anything else you want to say on this before we move on?
Nah, I said my piece.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right, so let's get on to it. Okay, this is the thing that just tripping me out, because I seen that Forza 5 was going to be from Game Rant and from others out there, not only from Game Rant, talking about Forza Horizon 5 is going to be coming, could possibly come to PlayStation 5. And people are, and the gaming media is still, to this day, still talking about Starfield. There's a possibility. D, I know you over here, you're moaning and groaning. I know you're ready to get in. I need to know what is going on with the media. And if you also want to address the whole situation with the Metacritic as well. I mean, if you guys was looking earlier, you can see the gameplay of Dark Alliance. And then also there's a game that's going to be that's out already, which is Scarlet Nexus. What's going on with that Metacritic situation as well? But let's just start off with if you want to add that part in here as well. But I just want to what is going on with the media? It's supposed to be trusted. And this just doesn't make any sense. If Xbox was at its worst, didn't have Forza on PlayStation or Nintendo, how is it that now, since Xbox has got its footing, going to put Forza on PlayStation or anywhere else at this point in time? What is your thoughts about the media doing this?
Wait, who are you starting with?
I said D. Yeah, D.
Sorry.
I guess I was a little bit too long with that. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's just I'm just dumbfounded, to be honest. It's just interesting to me because I think we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, where we're talking about how the last 7 years, the narrative has been a certain way, and Forza, to be honest, I am surprised to see rumblings and such of it coming to a different platform, because for the longest time what I've been seeing is all you guys have is Forza, Halo, and Gears, as if those are small things to have. But either way, that's what I've been seeing, is all you guys have is this, and kind of downplaying the significance. But I just feel it's one of those things, again, that for so long it's been, if you're on a certain platform, you got the multi-plats and you got the exclusives that you wanted. And then you kind of downplayed or disliked or just genuinely did not have interest in what Xbox is offering, which is fine, different strokes, different folks, all that. But now we're at a point in 2020, 2021, where people have been having, strong feelings, strong alliances with a piece of plastic that they bought. And now they're seeing something that interests them, grabs their attention, and they're kind of being told almost for the first time, like, yeah, your system can't play it. So I'm seeing it in two ways. I'm seeing it where it's just like the same old downplay, but then there's the other side of it where it's just like, hey, it actually might come, because why would it not? For this much time, almost a decade, anything I wanted to play, I had access to. And now there's something that I want to play and I can't play it. Like, it's just not computing, for lack of a better word. I find it hilarious, not to be rude, because since PS3 and before that I was only PlayStation, I've always had both systems. So not to be rude, I can't relate, and developers made no qualms about it either. Like, if you want this that we have on PlayStation, save up $300 and buy a PlayStation. Like, sucks to be you if you can always buy a PlayStation. And now that's not the main focus. That's not the main narrative. And it's kind of shaking things up a little bit. And it's just, it's just interesting to see that, like I said last week, some people really feel, whether they want to admit it or not, consciously or subconsciously, that they only like exclusivity when it includes them. Now it's not including them, and it's a problem.
Very, very much entitlement.
Yep. And if you ask me, there's hypocrisy, because
who is that?
Week, like with most recently the Avengers, it's a multi-platform game. Yet Spider-Man was only on PlayStation, and the dev was like, sucks to be you, buy a PS4 or PS5. Now Starfield is going to be Xbox exclusive, which everybody, Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, reiterated. Looky here, Xbox only. People are still like, so PS5 won. And I'm just like, y'all can't hear? Y'all can't read? I don't understand the disconnect. And then Hines said what he said, and then Microsoft came back and was like, dead that. We're not apologizing. Get your shit together. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I just sit back and laugh, like, so y'all can dish it but can't take it? I mean, we're all adults, but damn, like, you're not even getting the brunt or the equivalent of what you've been pushing for the last 7 to 8 years. And now all they're saying is, okay, this is where you can get it. What happened to them PCs y'all talking about when Xbox was going to PC? Now it's not coming to your console. I just don't be understanding. I try to see the logic. I'm not seeing it. It's just funny, though. I'm sorry.
No, you made a really great point.
I don't know why they're talking about Forza, because PlayStation has Gran Turismo, which nothing is wrong with that. Like, I've played it. Polyphony Digital does great shit from the stuff what I've seen in the last couple of years. So I'm not sure why there are media outlets who are just like, so it might come to PS4, PS5. That's odd.
That's a great point. I never really thought of it that way. I mean, yeah.
Like, I don't know about y'all, but Twitter's toxic, but it's also entertaining. It's like a train wreck you can't look away from. So people are just like, to all y'all names, all y'all guys, Gears, Forza, and Horizon. If that's the case, why do you want it so badly? Like, what's the disconnect? I don't.
Was you gonna say something, Sarver?
It's like,
no, I'm just laughing because it's like, it's the 5 stages of grief, and they're still in stage 1. It's still a mad denial. Like,
I don't see how you're dogging Xbox on one side, but then writing articles like dissertations about how it might come to your console. Which is it? Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
No, I mean, that's the thing to me that just blows my mind. I mean, go ahead, Sarver. What was you gonna say?
I mean, yeah, just to jump in, like, very valid points. Like, it's kind of mind blowing that the conversation still continues. So I think on the on the media side, right? I mean, I'm looking at the Game Rant article right now.
Right.
A lot of this stuff is just clickbaity stuff because it's the title to get you in there to go see what they're arguing.
Right.
And when you read the actual article, at no point in time it doesn't make any argument about it. It just says, "Oh, I don't think it's coming." That's what it's. It is a title to tell you to get you to go there. And as I read this article, at no point in time was there any argument made as to why it could. It's just telling you, I don't think it's happening. So it's clickbait to get you there. That is it. And there are some outlets that are willing to do that for whatever reason, right? So that I mean.
They know exactly what reason it is.
Exactly. It's to get people there and get people talking and just listen. Money. Clicks, money, and whatchamacallit? Basically, it is a train wreck that people like to watch. People love to watch this train wreck. Yeah, absolutely right. Like, but it's so us as people that are close to the industry and always following it and paying attention to it need to sort of parse out the truth from the BS. And when you see stuff like this, at the end of the day, if you know what's going on, this is an impossibility. The only way these games are ever in any way, shape, or form will be on a PlayStation platform is if Game Pass is on that platform.
Right. Fact.
Exactly.
That's it.
100%. And that's waving a white flag anyway.
That is waving the white flag. And the thing is, and then you have to think about it this way, right? If Game Pass is on that platform, right? If it's on any other platform other than an Xbox platform, and like an Xbox console or a PC, then you're talking about cloud gaming, right? Yep. So then Sony would have to accept essentially getting an inferior version of each game in the cloud on their console, as opposed to getting a native game, which would not happen. Microsoft is not making a PlayStation version of any of these games ever. It's done. That's not happening. Yep. So it would be cloud. And that's the only way it would ever happen. So the people that really are in denial, that think some way, shape, or form this is happening, that's the only way.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And beyond that, sorry, I'm under the weather, and every time I talk too much, my throat starts going crazy.
You on your Marco Rubio right now. You got to get some water. I got you. It's all good.
Yeah. So, I tell you, it's crazy the lengths that people go to just get people to go to their articles. Like, honestly, looking at this, it's disgraceful. Like, it's disgraceful that you put that title, and then people go to it expecting, even if it is just off the wall, like, theories about how it could happen. Cool, that's interesting. This is nothing. It really is. So I don't know. I'm tired of it as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just sickening. I mean, I go ahead, Bloody. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
The thing about it, right?
Talk about it.
As D brought up a good point, is that people love to be on the quote unquote winning team. They love to talk about exclusivity when they're the ones getting it. When they had all the quote unquote biggest hits, all these Game of the Year contenders, especially anything that was exclusive, such as what we saw with Persona 5, and they can use it for whatever pissing contest that they want to have at that time. The thing about it is that they don't realize that at the end of the day, this is a business. These companies are going to make decisions and go after acquisitions that help them. They were all hyped up when Xbox was no longer able to get anything that Insomniac made, even though we had, Sunset Overdrive, and for what, almost an entire generation, they hated on Sunset Overdrive, saying it was stupid, it was kiddie. They don't know how Insomniac made that, but now that they were acquired and Sony went out and bought and now own the IP with Insomniac, right? And they went ahead and did the re-registration for it. There may be a Sunset Overdrive 2, and suddenly it's the hottest thing around, and now they want a remaster of Sunset Overdrive. It's like, okay, well, where was that 6-7 years ago when it first debuted? It wasn't on your console, so you immediately hated it, right? Okay, so now that it may come to your console of choice, now it's suddenly great. Okay, cool. And it's the same with even Xbox fans who hate on games that were on PlayStation first, and then later on, when it comes over, it's suddenly great. there was a lot of people who felt the same way when Hellblade was exclusive, when Nier Automata was exclusive, and as soon as it came over, we saw a lot of people who were absolutely flipping over to the other side saying, oh man, this is great. I'm so glad it's here now. It's like, oh, now that's no longer exclusive. It's great. But when it was, you hated it. Yes, there was people out there who absolutely were interested and said, you know what? I really like it. I can't play it, though. It's not where I typically play. I'll just wait or, maybe never get a chance to. And then when it comes around, those same people at least stick to what they say. These people are not, because they want to believe in some lie delusion that keeps getting spread no matter what they're told. You heard it directly from the head of Bethesda and ZeniMax himself when Pete Hines basically said, look, I'm sorry, but we're not going to do that because we're owned by them. It allows us to focus and make sure that everything is perfect for where it's going to be launching. I don't have to do this, but I'm going to out of the sheer niceties. And then you hear other execs saying, we don't have to say anything. We made the acquisition. We made the deal. We spent the money. It is what it is. Y'all already have games that they released, and we'll continue to support that. But if you want to play anything else, you have to get in our ecosystem, where our focus is, which is exactly what Phil said back when they finalized the acquisition, said Bethesda and ZeniMax acquisitions was about putting exclusives where Game Pass is available. Is Game Pass on PlayStation? No, you're not going to get Bethesda games. Is Game Pass on Nintendo Switch? No, they're not going to get Bethesda games. If they want it, they have to get on wherever Game Pass is available. You got a phone? You can play it there through the cloud. Guess what? You don't need anything else. You have a PC? You can stream directly through your PC to play it. Guess what? You can do that. You don't like that? I was like, they have a very cheap digital console for you to get into to be able to play it there. Don't want that? Well, guess what? You're out of luck. Because of the fact that they're not going to do it any other way unless, like they talked about now, guess what? Game Pass is going to be directly on your TV because it's going to be a streaming app or through a streaming stick, kind of like what you see with like Roku and other things. If you don't even want to go out of your way to get something like that, then that's your active choice to choose to actively not play these games because you have some sort of inept vendetta against another company because they own something. If they've given you 17 options on how to be able to play this game and you choose not to do all of them, that's your fault. That's your problem. It's not their problem. They're perfectly fine because as Saul brought up earlier, the 30 million plus people or whatever that are playing on Game Pass and everything else right now are more than happy to play any game that they may not have purchased. The people who are fans are going to go out and purchase that game regardless. They are not worried. That's just what it is.
Yeah,
that's a fact. Go ahead.
We talked about it on last Sunday how it's this assumption and it's entitlement where it's this assumption that because and people don't speak on it directly ever, but it is this entitlement with some in the PlayStation ecosystem where it's like, well, Xbox is not in the lead. They aren't even you could say they're in third place because Nintendo's killing it so crazy. But
their Switches
right. So it's like it's that thing where it's like, no, they have to. There's no way you take any game of theirs and make it completely exclusive to their platforms. No, they can't do that. They can't get away with doing that because they're not in the lead, right? PlayStation does it. There's no problem. Like when Xbox got the 1 year exclusivity on Rise of the Tomb Raider, people went bonkers over that.
Right.
Bonkers over it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago about the Tomb Raider situation. Like, okay, so Tomb Raider was held back for a year exclusivity on Xbox, but then everybody lost their mind. I mean, I remember when Hip Hop Gamer and them was like drilling Square Enix to basically just say, you need to say it, that it's either exclusive or it's not. And the guy couldn't. But when you over here on PlayStation, the media don't even ask. They don't even ask. Like, for instance, Kena. Yeah, we all know Kena. Yeah, right. Like Kena's going to be coming to the Xbox eventually. We know that that Final Fantasy VII is going to be coming to the Xbox and PC. But again, nobody in the media asks the questions. I just don't understand why the media always wants to be hush-hush and not push the envelope like they do with Xbox, because they still are asking Xbox executives, well, what about Starfield? Okay, well, what about Starfield? What about, this Redfall game? Are you sure? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's like
And-
because of where they are, where they've, especially after last generation, where they were. It's like they have to do this.
Yeah.
They have to do this. It's okay if Nintendo doesn't do it. It's okay if PlayStation doesn't do it. But for whatever reason, Xbox has to give their games to everyone.
It just doesn't make any sense. Still Rain, what do you got? What do you got for me, man?
For me, it's one of those things where Forza's not going cross-play. Like, come on, man.
It's not.
It's just
I mean, we all knew that,
not
right?
happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you have GT. Don't be mad that GT's not doing well, and now you want an actual racing sim that.
Well, it sold 8 to 10 million, so it's doing it. Did its numbers,
but it's not Forza.
But it's not Forza. That's the problem. You're absolutely right.
But hang on, you also got to think about this, right? Yeah, I may have did those numbers, but look at how quickly they killed off a lot of its online servers. You can still go back and play all the
bloody. You're right.
You can go back and play a lot of the online services all the way back to what? Forza Motorsport, what's it, 3 or 4? And same with Horizon 2. I was like, you can play back 7 different versions of them and still play online. You go to GT Sport, you can try to play online, it's limited.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's one of those things to where don't talk about my wares and then still want to come shop with me. You've been talking about.
You about to get the preacher and the choir.
We've been having this conversation over and over again, right?
Pass the offering, pass the plate.
You wanted exclusivities. You wanted exclusive deals. Exclusive deals are happening. You wanted competition. Now competition is happening, and I'm just constantly seeing people, at least within our community. And again, I always try to clarify this, because what we see in our community is just an echo of how millions of other people feel. I don't know about y'all, but I tend to try to creep into other communities and whatnot just to see, kind of get the feel for what everybody's thinking or whatever. And because I don't like to hold myself to just my opinion, you got to reach out and see how different people are thinking. Just so you can have a round thought. You know what I mean? This whole stigma with Xbox always getting the short end of the stick it's still due to popularity, unfortunately. And until we get out of the stigma of or the conversations of just talking about hardware sales, which we're starting to kind of see that with Game Pass growing in numbers and more people finding out about the service and whatnot. And even you have the heads of Sony coming out and saying, hey, it's more about how many people we actually have within our service. You kind of see the turnaround. But at the same time, you're going against the competition. Your competition is someone who's been looking at this since 2013 as we've been moving into this digital age.
Realistically, since 2010, I was like, that's when they started doing the cloud savings.
Facts. And that's even taking it further. So you already, even with that, bloody, you speaking 100% facts, because that even shows you that this has been a plan for the last decade, and you're just now wanting to admit to your services. To me, Microsoft has always been beholden to the fact that they can keep consumers within their services. They saw that within gaming and said, let's try this. We do it with everything else. Was it 97% of computers out in the world are Windows devices?
Yes.
You see what they're doing with Windows 11. That's why PK and SICK feel like it's a big deal, because it is. There's so many things that are being implemented with each other. The fact that Bonnie Ross got on there with the not Bonnie Ross, sorry, Sarah Bond. Excuse me, wrong lady. More important chick.
Bond, disrespectful. Wow. Come on, man. Where you go, man? Hold on. Bonnie Ross is in charge of Halo. What is wrong with you? But Sarah Bond is very important, no doubt.
In charge of Halo.
Come on.
Speak on, Steel.
No, I thought Bonnie Ross is the boss.
Big Daddy Stanton did when he came in the building.
Come on, man. Bonnie Ross is the woman, man. Come on, man. Kiki Wolfkill. Come on, man. Lead them, man. That's my ladies right there.
The Sarah Bond.
Hey. Shout out to Kiki Wolfkill. She told me, she said, hey, I said, hey, man, could you just say this for me once? Can you say this for me one time? I say, hashtag save lock. And she said, hashtag save lock. I said, yes, let's go. Kiki, that's what I'm talking about. All right, go ahead, man.
But seeing Sarah Bond also be a part of that Microsoft, that Windows 11 little spiel that they did, kind of solidified the fact of where Microsoft is going, with them fully realizing that gaming is a pillar of what they are doing. They like that was a key note of that whole conference that they had the other day. Where you seeing how much Xbox is being integrated into just Windows naturally now. Not that it's kind of there now where I can just turn on my controller, hit the guide button, and my Xbox environment comes up. So they're already working into that process, especially seeing what they're doing with cloud and everything. But that's neither here nor there. But it's one of those things where you wanted competition again. Here's the competition. Don't complain about the milk being sour now. You wanted people to buy, this entire last since gaming has existed, you've always had to buy consoles for whatever game that you wanted to play. If you see a game on the other side that gives you a reason to invest in that ecosystem, then go get that game. I've never understood why people hold themselves back, and a lot of people within our community, more specifically, I can just speak to that, or people that are either born in the 90s or older, from what I've noticed.
Born into the 90s.
It's not like we're talking to the super young cats either. And I feel like that's something that we kind of disregard a lot. You know what I mean? It's at the end of the day, this whole exclusive shit doesn't matter. Why don't you want Sony to have a Game Pass like service to compete with what Xbox is doing? Would just be more beneficial. You're saying that it's a rent service, but people are buying more games than ever because of Game Pass. I can speak for myself. There's games that I've played in Game Pass that I wouldn't have played if they weren't on Game Pass. It's like, why wouldn't you want to share that experience with your consumer also? Okay. Instead of just arguing about which specific plastic box we're playing. Like Xbox has made that move and Microsoft has made that move and said, hey, we're trying to connect players. We're giving you more ways to play than anybody else is willing to at this point right now. You know what I mean? And they're the closest one to it. And y'all are just concerned about playing on your one platform. Again, that's why people see Sony as a single player platform.
Yes.
That's why when people talk about it, when I play my single player games, if I want to play Spider-Man, guess what? I'm playing it on a Sony platform. Or now, come to find out here soon, we'll see how quickly Spider-Man starts coming.
PC.
We'll see how quickly God of War starts coming.
Yeah.
And these games are going to, because they have to. And y'all can be sad about it all you want, but it has to happen. You want Sony to stay alive. You want Sony to compete in the fashion that they really need to. They need to bring these games to PC, and it doesn't hurt your platform because console players are not going to get PCs just because. It has never happened, and it will never be that way.
That $2,000 disparity is there for a reason.
Exactly. Right.
You
have to be willing to tinker. That's something I always tell people when they get PC. You got to be willing to tinker.
Okay,
it's not always perfect.
Rain, this is the thing right here that lets you know about how some of these people like to fraud the public. Is this reason right here? When the 3080s, the 3070s, and the 3090s were available, even if you go back to what I have, like the 2060s to 2070s, you know what I'm saying, were available. Then we would have seen an influx of PlayStation gamers that talked about that they that they could play their Xbox games on PC. We would have seen a lot more homegrown PCs available from there. But once they seen that they couldn't get a PlayStation 5,
look at that simple logic. Look at
right, like because they couldn't get a PlayStation 5. And then they were like, well, I can always fall back until I can get me a PlayStation 5 here at a later date. I still have my PC to where I can play Xbox games, I can play PC games, and I can play some PlayStation games, go back and play some of the classics. But you don't see that.
And it's kind of like what Jay Slayer is saying in the chat. I disagree. I'm a console guy and I bought a laptop. Not saying that you wouldn't do that. That happens all the time also. But you have to keep the typical consumer in mind, right? Mm-hmm. The typical consumer doesn't want both. The typical consumer doesn't want to turn on the computer that they may work on a day-to-day basis and play games on it. Maybe you want to go in the living room with the 75, 55, whatever you got in there, screen that you spent your bread on, and play your games at a good quality. And we're getting systems that are complementing that. Finally crossing the barrier where things don't have to be, there doesn't have to be so much disparity between all these platforms and bringing interconnectivity to the forefront. That's what's important. You know what I mean? So it's like Forza's not coming to PlayStation, man. Like you have Gran Turismo. The exclusives are there for a reason.
Yeah.
We've been having this conversation. That's my thought on it.
And the thing is, Brain, you hit it right. You hit it right in the head. But the funny thing about the argument that these people make about that they don't care to follow like whatever Microsoft is doing with Game Pass and stuff like that. What they fail to realize is that Sony's doing the exact same thing.
Talk about it.
They're doing the exact same thing. They're just not as well prepared as Xbox is right now. So they're going to give you some sort of a service at some point. Yes. They're going to give you that. It may not be as robust as Game Pass, but it's coming. The games they do put on PC are going to be closer to day and date. I don't know that will be day and date. Maybe we get there at some point, but they're going to be closer than a couple of years out. That's definitely going to happen. Yeah. So just be ready for that change to come because it is coming. They're just not as well prepared to do it as Microsoft. They sort of are a little bit behind the 8-ball in that regard, in which Microsoft had a lot of foresight and obviously investment in this type of stuff early on. They've been investing in cloud and all this stuff for the longest time. They've had this sort of long-term vision for a long time, and it's just now that it's beginning to be implemented. And in PlayStation, I don't know if they rested on their laurels and they were like, "Oh, we're just going to keep selling games and making games the way we always have, and that's going to keep working." So that's why when PlayStation talks right now, a lot of the narrative has been in direct contrast to whatever Xbox is doing. Oh no, we're going to sell you $70 premium games that are going to be worth it. That Game Pass thing is different. And then little by little that starts to change. And little by little they start talking about these service-based games and service and rumors about a competitor to Game Pass coming out, because it is coming out. Be prepared, because it is coming out. So it's just a matter. And then when it happens, they're going to change the way they speak to you yet again. And you're going to be like, "Oh, you lied to me." Yeah, they lied to you because they were holding off until they were ready to tell you exactly what they're really doing. And what they're really doing is, in a lot of ways, very similar to what Microsoft is doing. It's just a smart move. It's just a smart move when you think about selling a game, a $70 game to someone one time, as opposed to selling it to them in a service for $15 a month. And if this person is in that ecosystem, let's say for minimum 5 years, they paid for that game how many times over, right? If during the course of that time they only cared about a handful of games, they've paid for those games 5-6 times over. And it's not the same as selling it to them for one time at $70. Another thing about Game Pass is that because those games are in there in perpetuity, there's always an opportunity to bring it back up to the forefront. You can have a game that you released, and then 2 years later, give it some hot DLC. And because it's in Game Pass, now you have however millions of people be able to play it and try it out.
And so you know what? To add on to that real quick, Sav, because I didn't mean to cut you off, is that there's been a couple.
Don't look at Bloody trying to be respectful.
And well, because of the fact that I respect Sav.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, is that what it is? I mean, I don't know. It sounds like a little something else.
I've been around you too long. I've been around you too long. It's okay. I could be rude to you, but not Sav. So to add on to the fact of what you just said, right? There's been one studio that has done that multiple times, right? There's been one studio that's done that multiple times for one of their biggest titles, and they've done it for each of their 3 releases, with a new one coming out this year. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Wait, you come back because you broke up a little.
Fat Shark. No, Fat Shark. Fat Shark is the devs behind Vermintide.
Oh yeah, it's Warhammer everything.
Warhammer everything. Warhammer everything. But they have done that 3 times with Vermintide 2 alone, because they launched in Game Pass over 2.5 years ago. Then after about a year, it went out for a couple months. Then they brought it back when they did 2 new expansions. Then they left it out. Then it was gone for another 2 months. And then they brought it back for about a year ago. And it's been in there since with all the expansions. And they just had a new one coming out. And they're about to do the launch for Darktide for the Warhammer 40K version of Vermintide. There are plenty of studios that have been proven that you can do that. You can put it in there at launch, take it out, bring it back when you put out new content, and it always attracts new players.
Now I'm going to cut you off now because I'm going to read this super chat. So let's go ahead. Verge Brizzle. He says they do not care until they have it the way that. Okay, let me read this again. They do not care. But they do care. I'm sorry, they do care. Okay. I think this jack is hitting me now. We're getting late tonight. He says they. I got this jack. I got this jack. Jack on ice. Okay, so here we go. They do care, but until they have it, they will hate. But once Sony does it, the goalposts will move. They hate Game Pass, but are now hyping PlayStation Now, and you're absolutely right, Verge, because the one thing about Game Pass, if you remember, all you got to do is just go back to other people's receipts, right? Streaming is bad. Buying games is good. PlayStation Now is garbage. It's trash. PlayStation exclusives are good. Now PlayStation is moved the needle, and they're saying, look, PSN is good, services is good, and PlayStation Now is good. Now, because the way the Game Pass is because if you remember, the one thing that they kept saying was like, well, Game Pass would be beneficial to Xbox, but they have to have those games to come out day and date. They have to have those big titles to get people to want to sign over to Game Pass. Until then, PlayStation Now is still better, and if not, it's just me buying games. I ain't even worried about it. Sea of Thieves is not cutting it for me. As you look at what Game Pass is now producing, they can't say that anymore, and all that they're doing now is trying to give you the thought of like, well, I'd rather buy my games, and I'll show you a stack of $70 purchases or whatever, or pretend to show you $70 purchases of games, and then try to make people feel bad because they paid their money into or invested into Game Pass, which is the craziest scenario that I ever seen. PlayStation started this streaming service thing well before Xbox did. EA followed suit, and EA did it right. PlayStation didn't come in here to do it. They did it. See, if they thought about the long term, then PlayStation would be completely dominant because they would have the console that would sell the most overall, and they would have the service that would advertise not only their backwards compatibility. The games that's on PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, and 4 now, but they would also just be leading in that market because they have such a crazy huge catalog. But because Sony just came in here and was like, man, we spent so much money on Gankai, we got to recoup this money, and we're going to just try to make as much money as we possibly can. So we're going to try to go ahead and have fools go ahead and catch this game. Final Fantasy, I forgot what it was. Was it Final Fantasy 10? It was I can't remember which Final Fantasy game that they actually had in the beta, but they
you mean the one that they just did?
No. This is when they first advertised PlayStation Now, and they had it in the beta.
PlayStation Now.
Yeah, because I signed up to that beta, and they had that game out there for. That was I know. That was 14. They had that game for $50. I could go to GameStop and get that game for $16. They thought about money, about getting money now instead of investing into the future. While Xbox played their position, played cool, and they said, "Oh, you know what? EA is doing it the right way. You can download these games. You can do all this." And so therefore, listen, Sony had this. They had it already in the bag, but because their mindset wasn't right, because they were thinking about money for the short term, they wasn't thinking about money in the long term. And now Microsoft is now really about to take this market over and crush it because Stadia's off. Luna is going to do what it's going to do. But if Luna doesn't go and invest into, add a package to where they can have people when they join Prime to include Luna, then that's going to fall off as well. That's just my thoughts about that. I don't know. What you guys think?
I haven't went yet, so
Oh well, go ahead. Go ahead, Slayer.
All right. So everybody said such great points. All the I don't want to it's in a negative light, but all the obvious things, because it is all pretty obvious, you know? So it's everything you all have said. But I want to come at this from a little different angle. The internet. See, the internet, we have this compendium of all human knowledge, the digital library of Alexandria that all people can access and elevate their knowledge on just about anything. Okay. You know, all knowledge is there out there for you to read and learn and improve yourself even with, right? But yet what do people do? And what does the internet also do as a negative? It gives a voice to everyone, and social media in particular helps to do that. And it amplifies fringe ideas and elements that would have normally been ignored or just outright dismissed. Like y'all over here in this stupid corner thinking the earth is flat and you know every game needs to be $70. Well, we over here in the real world where 99.9% of us is, you know, we rock in the real world and we're trying to move and improve in our way, in the right way, or generally we try to anyway, you know. But there's these fringe elements, but now these voices are amplified, and here we are sitting debating their non-logic, their stupid, childish debates and arguments because they just want to have everything and win all the time, and nothing the competition does is ever good. That's the thoughts of children and just ignorant minds. I mean, and we're sitting here talking about it because those voices are being amplified, and normally we wouldn't hear them or we would see them and just ignore them outright instantly. Now we're giving thoughts a pause when we never should have in the first place. We never usually did, but now on the internet we do. And look at us now. Like, it's pretty black and white, this subject, or the things that are being debated. This is why everybody can so easily, you know, point out the flaws, you know? But that's why this is just a non thing, and we're giving it more clout than ever deserved.
Nice. Great point.
I agree with that. I mean, listen, the internet has always and will forever give voices to idiots. It's just what it is. That, you know, and you know, in a democratic society, what am I going to say? I'm going to be like, you know, I may not want to listen to it, but I have to respect the fact that you can have your opinion, and you have a platform where somebody's gonna agree with you, right? And you're gonna speak to someone, right? So I can't ever be mad at that, but I understand what you mean completely. Because a lot of these arguments, and this is the thing, this is where we get into the argument about fanboyism and how toxic it can be, because a lot of the arguments feel so stupid. Like, how are you gonna argue with me that your one-time $70 purchase has more value? Like, literally, right? I don't mean emotionally to you or for however you interpret value, right? But literally, your one-time $70 purchase that you play once through whatever 30 hours or twice through whatever is more value than 200 games or whatever for $15 a month that constantly rotate in and out.
452. It's 454 games right now. Yeah,
so it's nearly 500 games, right?
Yeah.
There's no logic there, right? There's absolutely zero logic there, but people are going to argue it. So I completely agree. You know, oftentimes we're at fault for giving these arguments oxygen, 100%.
Yes.
But the thing about it is that they act, but as dumb as a lot of us may think they are, the thing is that there's plenty of people that think that way. There are at least enough for it to be a talking point. Do I think that a lot of times the loud minority are the ones that kind of get their points out there, and it seems like it's bigger or more prevalent than what it is? Sure, 100%. I'm sure that happens a lot as well. So I can't be mad at the fact that the arguments happen. It gets frustrating when they get to be so sort of tone deaf and obvious. But you know, I guess
too many conspiracy theories.
People for it anyway.
Right. Too many people are expecting, and this isn't with politics. This is with every sports, everything. Just too many people waiting for the bottom to fall out. They're waiting for the collapse. They have everybody is waiting for a conspiracy theory, and
everybody's waiting for everything. The smoke.
Right.
Yeah, everybody. People come to these things to see the smoke, and
right.
Whatever. It's the internet. I don't know that will ever change. You just have to seek out the things that sort of you're interested in, make you happy, and don't engage in that stuff. Right. And unfortunately, that gets harder and harder, right?
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I just, what I'm saying, just quick point. I was just looking at something. My kids came over for the day after Father's Day, and they're adults now. My son is 27. My daughter will be 22 next month, right? And so the thing to me was more of we would talk. They wanted to talk about politics and things like that. I'm all about my sports, video games, and politics. That's me. That's how it is, right? So we start talking, and so they started showing me shit from TikTok. Like, what are you doing?
Oh Lord!
Like, what are you doing? Like, don't do
TikTok.
Man,
that's how they get their news.
That's how they get their news, and then of course, just like how people. It makes me upset. I said this last night on the next podcast. So shout out to my boy X448. I said this. I said it's crazy to me because we have Game Pass, and I'm over here playing Dark Alliance, and then people hit me up, and I don't have a problem with anybody can hit me up anytime. That's not what I was complaining about. What I complained about was, why are you asking me how the game plays when you have Game Pass as well? Just download the damn game. Download the game, bro. Just download it. Well, the reviews were garbage. So you're gonna let someone that you don't know dictate your enjoyment for a game that you are interested in, or the potential of you enjoying this game. Just download it. It's not hurting you. It's not for free, of course, because of, you got to pay into it, but but you might be so invested into this game that you might buy it because you might love it that much. Why are you asking me? I could have a whole different thought process about how that game is. So just download it. And that's what I say to them. And then sometimes people don't respond back because they think I might be trying to be a ass to them, but that's not the case. I'm just like, that's the game. You get the Game Pass with me. So we can hook it up. So we can link up, and then we can play the multiplayer together or something. Like, that just blows my mind. Like, that's why I was talking about the situation with Killer Instinct, is that it is, where there's more people out here that's being more genuine, that's coming up out of the ranks. It's still there's so many of the minority that is put a stain on a lot of logic, that it still has other people who are smart minded still feel clouded because of the fact that there's just so many other people that they may follow that's all about the smoke. And not about reality. That's what hurts everything, in my opinion. PK, I know you don't even want to care about. You want to talk about? Oh, PK's gone. Okay, because I was about to ask him about this. We was going to get into the last topic. We'll just go ahead. If we got a little time, then we will. But if not, because I want to be out of here in the next 20 some minutes. But I want to talk about Windows 11 because I was going to let him go first. Because I know that this was something that was near and dear to him. So I got to go to you, Slayer. You're going to have to hold it down for everybody because this was one of the topics that he was all about. That was serious. That was sterner stuff. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it right now. Windows 11, the good, the bad, the ugly. I will say this before you start. I've been a part of the Windows, kind of like what I do with Xbox. I'm a part of the Insiders program. Been a part of the Windows program for over a year. I got the indication that even though I got a build PC, it's could be considered maybe high end, mid end, whatever. I got a 2070. I got all the bells and whistles. Got a Ryzen 7, stuff like that, whatever. 32X. It told me that for Windows 11, it doesn't work. It won't be applicable. So talk to them a little bit about the TPM, which that was one of the reasons why my PC will not be acceptable. And if there's a workaround, please let us know. But go ahead, Slayer. Tell us about what Windows 11 and what this brings going forward.
TPM.
Yes.
The Trusted Platform Module. There's a 1.2 and there's a 2.0, I guess, whatever. Yo, like, God damn it. This was something I was talking about behind the scenes before we started the show. Myself and Solve in particular were discussing this. Like, how can I put this? Okay, I don't want this to sound like, oh, I'm above anybody or anything like that, but I've watched this happen in cycles constantly. Constant new versions of Windows and the debate amongst the community, and also of the video card. The cycle between AMD and previously ATI and NVIDIA, and the timing, the dance they had between generations of video cards and the competition between them. I feel in the greater community now, it's like they're all observing this, and this is like their first rodeo. Like their first rodeo, and they have no history in those two regards. And so, here we go again with Windows. Early news coming out, they show it off, and it's going to be some changes. Some things are going to be left behind. Some things are changing up, and this is one of the more drastic ones. Windows, when they started with Windows 10, let's say, that was a bit of a transition for a lot of the older, more venerable functions that had been there unchanged for many versions, many revisions, particularly the control panel. We have that settings section now, right? All different types of apps, support for touch, this and that, and more like OS 10 in recent years, they've had the one Windows 10, and they iterate on that, they constantly tweak and improve, and there's some hiccups along the way, but generally Windows 10, they're generally well liked within the pattern. There's always the good Windows, the bad Windows, the good Windows, the bad Windows in terms of release, amongst how the community and users feel, right? So this is one of the off ones, but this is one of the off ones where there's potential for it to end up not being an off one. So think about it like this. Windows 11 is really just like what they did, what 7 was to Vista, what 98 was to 95, what 98 SE was to 98. It's a revision. It's just something more on top of what we're already used to. So it's a further revision, and on its journey towards its apex one day far in the future, right? So new start menu, new versions of menus to set, configure things like Wi-Fi and other things like that. Now specifically that, integrated Xbox functionality, auto HDR, greater performance. At the same time, leaving a lot of old things. There's multiple articles that I retweeted about on neowin.com, .net. I'm sorry, .net. Many articles about what's being depreciated, meaning functions and features of functionality that will no longer be there because, this progress and change, and it's all in the name of that, but free upgrade, yay. But once again, another thing that is always traditional with the pattern of announcing a new Windows, miscommunication, leading to confusion, leading to all types of shenanigans and people running with new AMD machines, new beast, Ryzen with the new motherboard and all that, the X570, I think that's the top chipset that AMD has right now.
The X570.
X570, they run this little app that's supposed to tell you if your computer is going to be compatible or not with Windows 11, and it's telling them no. And what the hell? The latest and greatest don't rock? How can this be? Well, obviously that's not true. Most machines will be just fine, folks. Most machines will be just fine. Let me repeat. It's a whole thing now where, well, in that example with that guy, hey, some folks said, hey, switch this setting in your BIOS, run it again, you'll see you'll pass. Indeed, he passed. Many other people with other combinations of hardware tried the same thing and it worked for them too. And it was in that whole thread. I forget where that was, maybe on Twitter or some other forum or whatever, that was brought to your attention to the wider internet on Twitter or whatever. But there's more information now, and there's plug-in TPM modules you could have gotten, but scalpers are, these were little $10, $15 devices now being scalped for like $100, gone off of Amazon and on eBay, tough to find. I bet you they're $150 by now, because the articles I was reading about 100 was like 5-6 hours ago. Who knows? Suffice to say, don't worry about the TPM thing. It's TPM 1.2 most folks have, I believe, or something like that. This is just far overblown. Lot needs to be said and understood first, but just like what happened with this,
how's it overblown when I'm in the insiders club? I would have had this week or next week, and it's telling me that my PC is not, because I don't have the TPM, that I can't have.
He was just saying.
All right.
Literally, there have been shown fixes on the information just not coming out right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miscommunication.
Go ahead, Sid. Okay.
And not giving out the information properly and accurately, because the page with the app, and the app will tell you that, but then when you look at the actual technical press release they put out where they break it all down, it says the complete opposite. TPM 2.0 is not required for Windows 11. 1.2, I believe, is. Most have that. And TPM probably won't even be an issue even if you don't have that. That's also explained there. It's not. This is why I say it's not an issue, because they say it's not an issue on the proper paperwork says this. So there's a lot that needs to be clarified and explained, and people need to get this code in their hands and demo it and actually run it and see what is and what isn't, because as we see, even though I'm defending the so-called the actual paperwork, who knows until we actually try it, no matter what the reputation with the release and communication ever was. So Windows 11, it's a thing that's coming. Windows evolving as it always does, and everybody's going to want to be on that train. And this is what all the concern is about with this whole TPM situation. It's overblown, but a lot more information needs to be put out before people can really say yay or nay. But Windows is evolving to the future with some much needed and amazing features. The one thing I know everybody else is probably going to want to discuss about is how now Xbox features are coming into Windows instead of vice versa. But it's all been the same platform since forever now. Like, Xbox was always truly about not only performance, high-end PC-esque performance, but also PC-style features brought into the console world that the console world never had before. Surround sound, online high-speed internet, voice chat, which even the PC didn't really have, and influenced the PC to also push that direction, because that was very, very rare even on PC. All these other things that it's a give and take, and this is just another. It's cyclical once again. So now Xbox is actually influencing Windows, and it's just a thing that's evolving. So Windows 11 coming soon this year, this holiday. Everybody's wanting to get it, and if you want to go forward with the ecosystem Microsoft has, you generally want to be there, but the store at very least will be upgraded on Windows 10 as well. So
to 10 2.5 or whatever. Okay, let me read these super chats. AJ Felton, he says, shout out to the GRG crew. Other shows spewing BS about Game Pass, y'all keeping it real, no doubt, always. That's, we tend to try to keep it real as much as possible. Sir X-Man in the chat, he says, sorry late to the party, let's go GRG. Thank you so much. And then, of course, I already hit up Verge. So, yeah, man, thank you guys so much. That is, your super chats are very important. Thank you so much. But anybody else want to elaborate or want to talk about this? Because, I thought this was going to be long discussion just between two people because me, I don't care that much. I mean, listen, even if I could be an insider or not, and that's no disrespect to the Windows 11 situation and for the people who care about it. I just know for me is that it's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to use all the features, just like with my cell phone. I'm not going to use all the features. I'm just not. So, anybody else want to come and give their thoughts about it? I mean, I understand this is a gaming podcast, so if anybody want to implement the gaming aspects of it with Xbox and Windows 11, please do. Go ahead, shout it out.
Well, the biggest thing about Windows 11 is, as Sick mentioned, is that it's taking a lot of the new features that were implemented on the Xbox Series X and influencing it and building it into the operating system of Windows. You got to think that he mentioned that the console was always supposed to be a testing field for uniting a console based on a PC, and how a lot of those features kind of made over, as he mentioned, with the digital sound and everything else. But the thing is that ever since the launch of Windows 10, that's what has been operating the Xbox architecture for quite some time. You think about where it was at the launch of Xbox One and how that was using a modified version of Windows 7 before, or Windows 8 before that transitioned over to 10. Then we saw how they redesigned the entire home and the operating system back in 2015 or 2016, and how it's just been a little bit more of smaller reiterations and only small updates to the operating system since they launched the Xbox One X, which was the last major update, and then what we got and kind of how they cleaned it up just before the Xbox Series X. This is showing that all of every aspect of Microsoft has finally been coming into play and uniting together. And the operating system has always been one of the key things. Now we're seeing how everything that was affecting the console is now affecting the PC, and how a lot of that is tying together. The biggest thing you look at, like you mentioned, auto HDR. So now Windows gaming, which now is going to be a lot better, is going to have that auto HDR to help one give better color, better lighting, better just look and feel to a lot of the games that you be playing on your PC. And as someone who's gotten into more PC games, that absolutely is a big thing, because you look at how any older game gets that auto HDR on the Series X and how much prettier it looks. Think about how much wider.
But how many people's monitors
of
have HDR though? That's the question.
Right. And that's the thing. I think when you talk about the auto HDR, when you talk about the direct storage API stuff, it is very dependent on your rig. It's not like
well, the direct storage, what that does is that it helps to offload a lot of the external work from the CPU based on the GPU. And you think that a lot of more common pre-built laptops, a lot of pre-built PCs that are being bought right now, a lot of that is going to be in that mid-range that's a lot more affordable. And there's going to be some lower end. So one of the biggest things is that I was trying to speak was the fact that while auto HDR is a big thing because of the fact that it's become more of an abundantly available technology. Yes, there's still a lot of people who are using 1080p monitors. Yes, however, a lot more the 1440p monitors and even 4K is becoming more readily available. And as Slick was mentioning, a lot of people who do things on their PC tend to use a full TV as their monitor, and not necessarily getting monitors unless you're looking at people who are utilizing it more for business purposes and a lot of things like that, especially with the whole work from home aspect. But as for how it ties to gaming is the fact that a lot of what they introduced with the Series X is making over the direct API storage is now allowing it to be able to help offload a lot of the stress on CPUs by having things directly loaded from the graphics card, especially the mid to higher range graphics cards, and a lot of stuff that's being implemented right now in pre-builts. That's going to help improve load times and a lot of the capabilities for people who like to game on their PC, and it's going to give it a lot more ability to be able to game easier, especially for those who aren't able to build a rig like me or you or Sick or Lemon or any other PC enthusiasts here. And the other biggest fact is that now Xbox is solely incorporated into the operating system for Windows alone. You think about how it is right now on Windows 10, it's the fact that it's an entirely separate app, and that's even separate from the Game Pass app alone, which you have to go and install separately. So you have two different apps that aren't even a part of the operating system that you have to go and install, and they're already a clunky mess. And then that's on top of having the store being its own separate, complete and utter mess that it is on Windows. But now with what they've shown, they've completely redesigned the Xbox gaming app on PC. So now it's directly tied to the OS. It's able to directly tie into the Microsoft Store. The Microsoft Store has been absolutely overhauled. It's helping to put a lot more of that core Xbox gaming focus into PC and adopt a lot of what is currently now available. And for anyone who even remotely wants to dabble in PC gaming, this helps to make it so much more easier, because of the fact that you also think that they're already talk about implementing a try before you download on consoles utilizing their xCloud services. Now they're implementing the same concept on PC, so you can access these games in Game Pass and do a complete stream directly through your PC through the built-in app to be able to try those games and see if it's something that you want to get. They're making it so much more ingrained into their core DNA, which is what has always been a priority and a lot of and something that's always been important to Microsoft's, to what they did when they first started the OG Xbox. I was like, yes, it's kind of fallen off and not been as priority to PC, but now they're trying to show that it's no longer just a closed ecosystem of a console. Now it's console, PC, streaming, mobile, all this, and they're making it easier to access and have a lot of what they've been working on for one be able to tie into the other. And that's what people need to understand with what Windows 11 is trying to do to help push the Xbox gaming forward.
Okay, does anybody else want to?
I agree 100%. I think, when you think about, for me, just generally, the messaging behind it is this. When you go back to 2017 real quick, and that we were talking about this off air before, that conversation that Phil had to have with Satya Nadella about the future of Xbox, and he had to convince Satya that Xbox was in line with what Microsoft was thinking about Microsoft's future and services and stuff like that. And Xbox had to sort of fall in line with that. And if he didn't pitch that the right way, there'd probably be no Xbox today. Like that's how bad it was.
Agreed, yeah.
For a minute there for Xbox, where we didn't quite know where the brand was going to be, if it was even going to be in existence. So it's so important that you see this now, that Satya is on board to the fact that their biggest product is now integrating what was essentially their sort of pet project product in Xbox at such a core level. It really speaks to what they want to do in terms of gaming and perhaps challenge the might of Steam one day, right? It's to me, this is really just the beginning. This is just the beginning. I think when you talk about the improvements to the store and things of that nature, that's going to be an ongoing thing that is really built to do one thing, as like Nuck said, to bring that Xbox ecosystem to the forefront of the PC. Because when you think about it, console is one of the smaller gaming ecosystems there are. They really want to start dominating in the PC space, the cloud space, the mobile space, right? They want to get all of that with their cloud infrastructure. But again, if they're sort of front-facing UI stuff and the operating system underneath is not built from the ground up to sort of deal with those gaming-centric features, you're going to get what you have now. Like what it is a separate kind of app to the side. It doesn't run necessarily well. It doesn't feel like it's integrated at a base level. So I think these changes are super important. And I think, again, in the long term, it expands the reach of Windows, if that's even possible, because Windows is everywhere. And it also, the Trojan horse is Xbox and that gaming brand. And I think when we talk about what Xbox wants that brand to become and this sort of ubiquitous thing all over the place, this is, I think Windows 11 in a lot of ways is the Trojan horse for that. So it's important and it's going to get real interesting very quickly.
No, I totally agree with that aspect of it. Anybody else want to touch on that?
Hey, Mega got knocked out.
No.
Did I get knocked out?
He got hit with the whammy.
I'm here.
Oh my
y'all
goodness.
can't?
They
Hold
took him
on,
out
man.
back.
Hold on.
Well, guys, before we all head out of here, before the stream drops, we will appreciate everyone stopping by. He's gone.
Can y'all hear me now? All right. I gotta press some buttons, man. Yeah, man. It's tripping, but I just want to touch on. Did anybody else want to elaborate on this before I get the hell out of here? Because good God,
knocked out the park.
Yeah.
All right, okay. But everybody knocked it out the park.
Make sure you follow everyone down below. So tell them where they can find you at, brother.
Well, hold on, wait. You can wait. Pause. Relax.
He's like, you said you wanted to leave. Let's go.
Yeah. Wait a minute. The host with the most is back. Watch out, sucker. Anyway, all right. So thank you, Saul, for coming.
Everything that's dropping right now.
Man, look, hey, man, everything is working fine. It says excellent connection. Only thing I needed was an update. That ain't. Hey, OBS decides to do what they want to do. I can't do anything with that. It's just with people that want to go.
I think you would know not to do it in the middle of streaming.
Okay, but you know what? Listen, they say, look, this is the prime time, and you know what? Look, nobody's doing podcasts, but it did it. But regardless, it is what it is, man. But we got it to work in, so I'm going to have to now do some chopping and some editing, clear out all of Bloody's voice, and with everything that he's saying.
He has to make himself seem like he's important right now. So.
I am, of course. But anyway, thank you, Sovereign. I really do appreciate it, man. Sorry for the technical glitches, but man, I hope this is definitely not going to be the last time that you hop on the GRG, man. It was great. I definitely
excellent discussion.
Yeah, some great discussions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, the Windows stuff. I mean, if it was,
have mercy.
But it is what it is. But I mean, it is what it is. But it was supposed to be the hottest topic of gaming. But that is what it is. But other than that, thank you, Sovereign. Where can they find you at, man?
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. This is a fun conversation. I love you guys back and forth. I already know how you and Nux do, so I knew that was coming.
Man. You better get glad Lemonade in here tonight. Boy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm surprised, man. Yeah, because Lemonade, that's a whole nother level.
A whole nother level. When y'all start talking about Brooklyn and all that, I'm like, man, shut up. I'm about to mute everybody. Get out of here. We ain't doing that here. We ain't doing that. Well, anyway, keep going, bro.
But now, you guys can catch me on Twitter, retweeting everything under the sun, Lord Sav IOP on Twitter. And of course, BX Sovereign on PSN, Xbox Live, and of course on the Iron Lords podcast, and now Iron Lords podcast LLC.
I was just gonna say that too. Hey man, gang, man, congratulations, man.
Thank you so much,
man. Y'all guys definitely deserve it. I know when I did my LLC, man, it felt right, man. It's this one thing where it's just like it's solidified now. You know what I'm saying?
It really, and now we can get screwed over by the government, so that's good.
Oh yeah. Taxes, they'll eat your ass up. But I mean, you know what I'm saying. But then there's also tax write-off. So I mean, it is
exactly. But it's a fantastic feeling, and again, it's
your business now, true business.
Let me know when you need a accountant. I got you.
You see, Sovereign was quite quiet about that.
I know that. I know all them tax write-offs.
Hey, there was a reason why they were saying. There's a reason why they were saying in the bushes. Leave that alone, brother. Stop it.
I am the accountant, but I'll gladly accept advice. You know how it goes. But man, every Sunday 1 p.m. Eastern time. You know how we do. In the realm
Lord's podcast.
Yeah, man, we love you guys. Again, it's all family, it's all love. We all lift each other up, man. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. And my apologies for the raspy voice.
No, you was absolutely fine, man. I knew you were saying great. The mic was crispy. You was over here giving us your top 5, man. You got a little bit emotional, and then that's all right. You need some liquids. We got you. Oh man, but anyway, D, thank you so much, man. What's going on with you? What you got planned out? Where can they find you at, Miss D?
You can find me on Twitter at Gingy's Mom. I'm here at GRG podcast every Friday night.
Did she say GG podcast? Whoa.
I said GR. My bad. I'm sorry.
You're tired. I got you.
A little. Just I'm old now. I can't.
Everybody's old. We can't do it like that. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
I'm not there
Windows
yet.
11 topic. Just take it over the edge. Let's go.
I mean,
You're 31. I mean, it's just the beginning of the end, I guess, right?
oh wow.
Oh,
I'm
Damn.
telling you,
Yeah.
firsthand knowledge, baby girl.
32, but yeah.
Huh.
I'm also on Xbox and PlayStation at Kirby Titan. So yeah, that's just me. I'm mostly on Twitter though, y'all. But y'all have a good night.
Nice. And Henosis, man, thank you so much. He says, great show. All the best. Enjoy the weekend, y'all. No doubt, man. And everybody that came back in here to check us out real quick, thank you so much for coming by. Curie, all the rest, Jesse New, Sleepy Goblin, thank you guys so much. Last Emperor, appreciate you guys. All right, Six Layer, where can they find you at, brother?
Yes, sir. Yo, y'all can find me mainly on Twitter, Six Layer. Yo, check out the stuff I've been tweeting and retweeting, particularly when it came. A great example is this Windows 11 stuff, about the TPM. Yo, I had already put out all that knowledge out about the depreciation, as the list of features that's getting the cut, new stuff coming in, all the things, answers, knowledge. I don't hoard knowledge. I try to spread it. So people can make the decisions and discuss from a better point of view, of knowledge and know how they can move. So just check me out on Twitter. This is what I do, and keep it gaming. And tomorrow, Dragon's Den with another ILP member, Lord Cognito, no doubt, an hour early, 6 p.m. Eastern. Come check us out in Dragon's Den on 108 Dragons TV, right here on YouTube. Yeah. And so, as always, thanks for coming out, everybody, to the chat. Love you guys, and thank you, Saw, for coming once again. Great discussion. This is what I like. It's what I was talking about before about all this. Instead of talking about games and discourse, about the gaming in and of itself in all aspects within, but it's always discussion about worthless crap instead. Because the stupids get a voice to ruin it for everyone. So let's keep it more positive than that. And until next time, peace.
No doubt. All right, Still Rain. Man, you got something that you got popping off in the morning. Let everybody know what's going on with you, man. Appreciate you coming by as usual, man.
Hey man, well, it's not coming by. It's like it's my house now too, right? I mean,
it is. But you still come by, man. Yeah, man. You out there on the front porch, man. You come in there and get a little bit.
Not the porch.
Yeah, we sit back. Yeah, this is sit back, rocking on the porch type of podcast, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody talking a little bit. That's it.
Y'all crazy, but you already know what it is. To have the rain coming to the GRG Kingdom week by week, we continue to do this where gamers recognize game, to have a Lord within the house, Lord Solve himself. Look, man, we had some great conversations tonight. We're able to get to a lot of points. It was excellent to hear a lot of people's top fives. Again, they might vary from week to week, but again, it was interesting to hear everybody's different, games or whatnot. It's always one of those conversations where. Yeah. But it's always one of those conversations where it's like an opener, what is your top five? So it was great, man. And then with that being said, look, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time, the Living Split Screen Morning Show, where we keep it live, raw, and uncut, give you that authentic, organic energy that you need to get into your weekend. We talk all games, non-console centric platform. We're just trying to make gaming blow up to something that it needs to be, man. There's too many. It's still in this day and age where a lot of gamers and whatnot are just getting a lot of flack where I feel like we shouldn't be. And we're just trying to promote the platform, man. But other than that, excellent night. It's getting late. I'm over here stumbling over words and I got to get up in the morning. Long week, but
long week.
We here, man. We here.
We here. All right. No doubt. Bloody Knuckles, where can they find you at, man?
Yo, you already know what it is. It's your boy Bloody Knuckles, aka the Gothic Game of your resident anime king, but more importantly, the Mad Dragon of Xbox. They can find me everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and over on Twitch, where I stream 4 times a week, all at Bloody Knucks, KNUX. I hope everyone's doing good. You already know that I'll be busy. I've been taking the past couple bit I'm off. I'm trying to get a new schedule straight away. because I had a lot of things going on, but I will be having content up soon. I do have some things that are in the works. Streams will be starting back in 2 weeks, and hopefully here soon. Plans change, but Smash Podcast should be returning here soon because there's so much stuff that's come out within the last year alone that's absolutely worthy to be talking about. But other than that, guys, you know that I'm always around talking all things that I can find, retweeting stuff, as well as just supporting all my people, watching everyone succeed the way that I do. But other than that, y'all all stay beautiful, stay wonderful, and as always, keep on fighting and being the amazing people that you all are.
No doubt, no doubt. And as we close out, I will say this. The other podcast that I am getting ready to start, which will be a regular time podcast. It won't be a late night anything, even with my streams. Everything that I do is late night because I'm a late night owl. I like to dwell in the darkness. But we'll be hopefully getting ready to start that. You know what I'm saying?
You only adopted it.
Mitchie. D, Cali Rex, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get ready to start that next month. Well, not next month, in August. We're just going to get the time right. We're going to do that for sure. It's time to make that move. And then also, Fight Night Sundays, we do it twice a week now. So it's not only on Sunday nights at like 10 p.m., 10 p.m. Central. We also do it on Wednesdays as well. So it's so come and check us out. And then the Dev and the Gamer will return. Me and the Don will be definitely doing this next week. Hopefully he's got his whole house situation. You know what I'm saying? He got a 3-story house. He got a Jag with the suicide doors. He's got all this stuff, and he's over here complaining about, man, I'm just so stressed. I'm like, man, first world problems. I don't want to hear about all that garbage, man. You know what I'm saying? I need to pass me a little bit of that money. Anyway, other than that, any of that, man. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. I'm going to have to do this editing. And before and after this, once I get done with the podcast, man, I thank Sovereign and everybody coming on. I will be doing the giveaway. It's on Twitter, Scarlet Nexus. I'm going to get everybody who participated and said something in the chat on Twitter where I was saying, look, say what you got to say. You have to be a follower on me on Twitter. But you also got to give me a comment of why you want Scarlet Nexus, and I will give you a Scarlet. It doesn't matter if you got a PlayStation, if you got an Xbox. It doesn't matter if it's on PC. It doesn't matter if you're overseas. I got you. Digital copy is going to be coming to you right here in the next 30 minutes. This is going to be this is what I do. This is for the community. This is my thank you to you guys for supporting me. You know what I'm saying? The channel is starting to grow. I really do appreciate you guys so much. So other than that, man, we're almost there. You know, listen, vaccinate yourself. Stop listening to this other crazy stuff. Take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. And then we can get back.
Wipe your hands.
Wash your ass. Do all that. And so we can get back to get into the club, and so people can start getting ready to do the pants off dance off. That's what we need. Everybody have a good one. What'd you say?
It's just funny how you got to tell people to wash their ass. That's crazy. But
you got to tell people to wash their ass. They got to wash it, clean it. Man.
Wash your hands.
There's some dirty MFs out there for sure. But anyway,
that's sure.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you as always. See you guys next Friday. We have another guest coming on, and then I'm going to try to do something completely bonkers and special for the 200th episode of GRG. I'm going to be doing a lot of begging and pleading, so let's see what we can do to make it one of the best GRGs of all time, man. But thank you guys so much. We are out. Good night. Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out the GRG podcast. All your gaming news and our special topic of the week. Make sure to join us every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. Central, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. This was the GRG podcast.